What is happening out there, rotoscouts baseball fans? Nice little Tuesday 12 gamer. Get us away from football for a day or so. Looks like a pretty good slate out there. Some good contests for a change for September. A couple good ones up on FanDuel. More of the big ticket contest is a little bit more interesting, I think, than the everyman contest today. Only 15K up top in that one, but it's playable. A little bit more playable than the limited ones they've put up over the last few days. DK doing the right thing with some interesting contests of their own. Looks like we've got a few people hanging out in chat already. D saying, let's get it. Aloysius is here, and Lone Wolf's asking if it's a Yankees smash day. I am wearing the old Yankees 2009, the last time the Yankees won the World Series shirt today. So yeah, why not? Yankees smash day. They are facing a pretty gettable pitcher. They are pretty excellent against left-handed pitching. Aaron Judge leads the world in the home run model today. So I think there's a good reason to expect the Yanks might succeed, but pitchers like Kikuchi can also get to my Yankees from time to time. We'll talk about that one. That one's right off the top, but let's let some people trickle in while we hang out. About 12 people hanging out here so far. Dell just came in. What's up, Dell? Hello. Welcome, welcome. Nothing to rush into. No football show pressuring us to get through this one quickly. Nice 2 hours or so meandering through. I'm only playing like 5 lineups today. I'm not building the full slate for the 150. I'm just throwing a couple into that bigger one. So kind of casual approach. I'll have time afterwards. So if we go to 6:15, a little after, we'll still be okay. Kevin O says, I hope we see some new bats. D just had some coffee. I'm just having some coffee myself here. Got the old summer mug out. The one that my niece designed the art a couple years ago. Congratulations to Summer, my niece. She booked not 1, but 2 roles in the Nutcracker Ballet this year. Not bad. Not bad at all. So I'll go see the Nutcracker again this Christmas. And probably for the next few years. Every single year. It's like a little performing arts center, performing arts program. She does ballet, takes ballet lessons, and then every year they put on a pageant in association with, if you ever heard of Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, they get some like comedy shows and stuff like that. They're not like Carnegie Hall level, obviously, but one of the bigger local theaters in like the Northeast area. So they to put on a little performance in Count Basie Theater with a local performing arts group. So there's grown-ups that do a lot of the main roles, and then a lot of the kids do, she's a mouse, and she's something else this year. Last time around, she was just a mouse. A lot of fun, though. Congrats to Summer. Anyway, what else is going on? Matt Pat says, Mr. Judge, golden bat of the day is none other than Terry's finest. Yeah, he is, like I said, leading the world in the home run model today, in a pretty great-looking spot going up against a pitcher who is quite gettable for home run upside in Yankee Stadium, one of the last homestands of the year. Definitely going to be an interesting spot for them. I'll have them in one lineup at least. Maybe I use him as a one-off somewhere. He'll probably be pretty popular in that spot. But why don't we get into this one, I guess? Let some people wander in as we start talking about these early games. We do have 12 to go through. We've got time, but we do need to use it wisely. So first game up. Look at that right there. Monster doubling up the magic number for Aaron Judge in the home run model. This confirmed lineup for the Yanks. Not confirmed yet for the Blue Jays. But obviously, monster power for Mr. Judge. He's priced at $6,400. You're paying a big ticket for him on the DK slate. I think he's totally worth it, obviously. $3,900 on FanDuel is honestly kind of cheap. On a day where Ronald Acuna costs $6,000. Or $5,000, excuse me. That's kind of cheap for Judge. 415 plate appearances. Guy's got 32 home runs this season. A 323 ISO, a 162 WRC+. He makes better contact than anybody in the sport. 25.6% barrels, 62.6% hard hits. If you think that's unrealistic because it was only 415 plate appearances, well, last season in 696, he had a 26.2% barrel rate and a 60.9% hard hit rate, and he hit 62 home runs. So everything we're seeing from Aaron Judge is highly realistic. Best power hitter in the sport, going up against Yusei Kikuchi, who has a 4.05% home run rate this season. 90.2 miles an hour of exit velo allowed, 41.9% hard hits allowed, 8.6% barrels. These are both over the line for where we look. This is approaching it. 10% barrels is obviously tragic, but plenty of home runs available for Kikuchi, and has been that guy in years past, as we've seen every time this guy's pitched this season. We've looked at these numbers. Last year, 5.07% home run rate, 14.8% barrels, just absolutely tragic, 47.1% hard hits, 47% hard hits the year before, 11% barrels, and a 4.05 matching home run rates. So Kikuchi, for all his talent at finding strikeouts, for being a semi-decent pitcher overall, still has a home run problem. He's wrangled it a little bit this year by comparison to last year, but it's still up there. This is one of the better starters with a home run problem in the game. He does have a 25.4% strikeout rate. He's pitching to a 3.81 ERA this year, a 3.87 xFIP, induces a 12.3% swinging strike rate, 28% CSW. He's a talented guy. There's no denying it. It's just the home run issue that really, really gets in his way. And then he can come out and he can walk too many hitters sometimes. He's gotten that under control this year. It was only 7% this year. Last year it was just god-awful at 12.8%. Year before, 9.3%. So this has been his best year for walks, or for limiting walks. But it's popped up a little bit in the last couple starts. Last time out, 3 1/3 innings, 4 strikeouts, 4 walks, 4 earned. That was at Colorado, though, so you can kind of forgive that. Had a 0 strikeout game in 5 1/3, 3 earned runs, and gave up 2 home runs to Arizona in the start before that. Went 8 innings in a 7-hit shutout at Cincinnati, 7 strikeouts in that one. But he's walked a few more in some recent starts. If he walks too many people, he can get really tattooed. If he's not walking people, he can have a decent game while giving up a couple home runs, giving up a little bit of power, but not a DFS game that you necessarily want. You need him to be on form for both the walks and the limiting home runs to give you true upside here. He does have the talent to shut down the Yankees over 6, to give you a solid handful of strikeouts. It's a fairly deep slate, though, so I don't know that choosing Yusei Kikuchi with the Yanks showing a lot of power in Yankee Stadium is necessarily the direction you want to head with your pitching choice here. For 87 on the DK slate, if you're building out 150, I think he's in the pool. For 97 on FanDuel, maybe a few shares out of 150, but in my 5 lineups, I don't think I'm going to use him. Clark Schmidt on the other side falls into a similar bucket. He's at least cheap on both sites, 7,300, 7,500. Just don't really see the need to go to him that much. You certainly don't have to tangle with the Blue Jays. And he's a pitcher who doesn't typically pitch very deep into games. He went He went 5 1/3, but only struck out 3, walked 3, gave up 3 earned on a home run to Boston last time in Fenway. 6 strikeouts, 3 earned runs in 6 1/3 versus Detroit. 7 strikeouts, but walked 3, gave up 3 earned runs and a home run in 4 2/3 at Detroit. And then the start before that, 4 back, was his deepest start of the entire season. He went 6 2/3, struck out 5, gave up a run at Tampa Bay. That's typically the kind of start you're getting. He doesn't usually go 6. He doesn't usually strike out more than 4 or 5. He's a good average-ish kind of a starter. 146 innings in 29 starts tells the story of the limited depth. 22.4% strikeout rate, good, not great, around average. 6.5% walks, fine, around average. 4.56 ERA, 4.25 xFIP. He's the definition of like a league average type pitcher. He's fairly priced, but it's a bad matchup. Going up against the Blue Jays lineup that's got star power up top, that's very limited in strikeouts among those stars. A lot of power through the middle, with higher strikeout guys, but tons and tons of pop in Yankee Stadium. Still not confirmed on the lineup. We got the Rangers and the Royals in, though. We'll grab those when we get to them. So I don't really like the opportunity for either one of these pitchers. Yankee Stadium just not friendly to pitching anyway. Lazy fly ball. Get it. I just saw Dennis's question. Why is Higgy so low in the home run model? It's a fair question. I mean, 5.29, he's halfway to the magic number. He's got an 11.6% barrel rate, a 48.8% hard hit rate to support the idea of upside. He's got 10 home runs and 249 plate appearances. I think you know, and I think you're asking because he's one of my sneaky catchers that I like going to. People underrate his bat. Talented kid. They've got Wells now, the rookie that came up that's going to push him out of this job probably, or keep him in a part-time role. But I would have liked to have seen Higgy get a full 400 and change plate appearances one of these seasons. I think he's a 20 homer catcher. But why is he so low if you're actually asking? Just, history, the way that the numbers pile up for a backup catcher or a part-time catcher, you're just rarely going to see a guy like that crack through the magic number. There's just not enough backbone to really support the projection. But he is a good bat-on-ball power hitter. in a part-time role. Lone Wolf says Yankees mini stack. I don't dislike that. I think there's a lot of different ways you can put that together as well. Obviously, you want Judge to be a part of it. He's going to be the most popular player on the team, I'm sure, and you're paying a lot for him. But everybody else in the lineup helps average his price right down. Giancarlo Stanton for 4,200, 2,900. Regardless of the 193, 279 on the front end of his triple slash, he does have 24 home runs and 391 plate appearances. He does have a 239 ISO. He does have a 16% barrel rate and a 48.5% hard hit rate. He does still hit the ball to the moon when he makes contact. Don't skip Giancarlo Stanton in your stacks. That's their second highest priority bat. After that, I prefer Gleyber, who hits in between them in the confirmed version of the lineup. He's having a very nice season, 25 homers, 13 stolen bases, a 123 WRC plus with a 190 ISO. Plays it basically every day, giving him a pretty steady batting average and on-base percentage. Cut strikeouts from 22.6% last year all the way down to 14.6%. It's a dramatic improvement for a guy who's still only 26. Coming into his prime years. That's a really nice year to see from Gleyber. So he's been their second best player all season. He would be my next priority. I want the two big power bats, then I want Gleyber, and then it's kind of up in the air. You can get DJ off the top, he's produced in weird surges from time to time this season, but overall the season's been bad. 243, 323, 398. He's 1% better than average creating runs, 15 homers on the year. The home runs are good to see, but I didn't want to trade everything that DJ LeMahieu used to do at the plate for a little bit of a power uptick. It's just not a good trade. That said, 3,500 at first base on DK, totally playable. 2,700 with first, second, and third on FanDuel is fantastic. Just a great spot in the batting order, if nothing else, hitting ahead of Judge, Torres, and Stanton. So that would probably be my next man in. I could be talked into Volpe. I could be talked into Peraza or maybe Kyle Higashioka. I don't really like IKF. I don't really like Oswaldo Cabrera. Limited hitters. IKF does produce from time to time, but overall he's a utility man. He's a part-time player and more of a slap hitter. He's got 6 home runs on the season, 13 steals, 239, 306, 340. Creating runs 18% worse than average. Peraza is a premium prospect, has not delivered much at the major league level yet in 152 plate appearances. Should hit over time, but has been pretty skippable so far. 1 home run, 4 steals, a 62 WRC plus. And then Cabrera, just not a major league hitter. He's a utility man. He's here for his glove. Can play multiple positions. He's relegated to just the outfield on FanDuel, third base and outfield on DK. Not that valuable. I'd rather have Peraza. I'd probably rather have IKF just for the spot in the batting order if I need to extract a third baseman from this lineup on DK. On FanDuel, you've got more flexibility with the Yanks. But it's really about the top 5. Anthony Volpe, I skipped over, 3,700, 2,600. He's probably the next most playable guy. It's just a straight line through those top 5. 21 homers, 24 steals, and 88 WRC plus. Just not delivering the truly good season. He's been okay. 211, 288, 392. We need more hits. We need more on base out of our shortstop. But the counting stats are nice. For DFS, on the right night, if you happen to drill one night where he hits a homer, steals a base or two, scores some runs, then he's had a little bit of value. But overall, kind of a disappointing season. On the Blue Jays side, I think you can play this lineup back against Clark Schmidt. They're also in Yankee Stadium. They're not seeing nearly the home run marks. Schmidt's only allowed a 3.31% home run rate, although he's allowed a little bit of hard hits. Below 90 miles an hour of exit velo, but 89.4 is not nothing. You can definitely square the ball up against him. He's had some issues with Yankee Stadium home runs this year, too, where just lazy fly balls out to right have gotten out on him. So a few of those home runs in the pretty decent 3.31% rate have been a little bit cheap, but he does tend to struggle with that in this ballpark on the wrong day, and these hitters can definitely get to him. There's going to be a lot of balls in play, if nothing else, with Springer, Bichette, and Guerrero off the top. Davis Schneider, 5,200, 3,500, their most expensive player on FanDuel, only $100 less expensive than Bo Bichette on DK. Kind of ridiculous, but he's been effective. 8 home runs in 123 plate appearances, can't deny that. 356 ISO, 193 WRC plus in the small sample. Kind of surprising. 17.2% barrel rate, only 39.1% hard hits, and does strike out 30%, walking 15.4% of the time to keep his on base and his run creation afloat. I suspect that overall this all cools off over time. If he had another couple hundred plate appearances left in this season, I think he would come down. You're paying a tax for what he's done, not for necessarily what he's going to do, but it's a good spot in the batting order, hitting cleanup behind these guys. Kevin Biggio, 2,800, 2,500, flexible positioning. An okay option. 102 WRC plus over 284, 9 homers, 5 steals. Not completely inept. Matt Chapman hits the ball very, very hard when he makes contact. 17.1% barrels, 56.5% hard hits. And then the bottom of the lineup, it's like a mix-in option here. Mostly here for defense. Mix-in option with a little bit of pop behind the plate. 6 home runs in 382 plate appearances from Kirk. Danny Jansen's obviously the better power hitter behind the plate. And then Dalton Varsho having a disappointing season offensively. 17 homers, 15 steals, 17% worse than average creating runs. Your priorities for the Blue Jays are obviously those 3 guys. I kind of prefer Matt Chapman for cheap rather than paying a tax on Davis Schneider. But either way, either one of those righty power bats is definitely interesting. And then Biggio is, moderately playable if that's where he's hitting in the lineup. Varsho, moderately playable, would be better if he was hitting like 7th. Although he's semi-interesting as a wraparound. He doesn't get nearly on base nearly enough. But if he happens to get on base, we're compounding the possible rather than the probable there. But if he did, he would be an effective guy ahead of these guys. But not great. So, Yankees bats, Blue Jays bats. Yusei Kikuchi, Clark Schmidt in that order, but really no real love for the pitchers. I think you've got a much better shot at a semi-ceiling type performance from Kikuchi. Like if you ask me which one of these guys is likely to come out here and strike out 10 hitters, it's definitely Kikuchi over Clark Schmidt. I don't think he's going to do it. I think it's a very limited option overall, and I think he's going to give up some power, but he's definitely the more likely of the 2 starters. Let's move on. All right, if you like the White Sox, if you're from Chicago, this is your day. The White Sox are drawing major projections. They rank 3rd on the projections board, 1st on both sites by points per dollar value, and 10th by home run upside. A lot of that's supported by Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez, and then a little bit from some of these guys down the lineup. I don't know if that was done with... Oh, no, Vaughn is in there. All right, 6.83. It's going up against Jackson Rutledge, who was just a complete tragedy in his debut performance. First start, the line literally didn't fit on Fangraphs. Like it was all just like smushed in because there's a bunch of big numbers to the left and right because his ERA is at 17.18 after that first start. But poor kid came out. 1 start, 3 2/3 at Pittsburgh, 7 earned runs on 10 hits, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 home run allowed. Kind of a disaster, and it's pushing major projections in the White Sox direction. There is some history and some placeholder info in there that's trying to fill in the gaps around him. But a 2.2% swinging strike rate in that debut performance, a 3.0 whip despite only walking 4.8. Again, this is 1 start, 3 2/3 innings, so it's very limited in terms of what we can extract from this. But what the model's pulling is that the White Sox are in a good spot here, and they're very cheap. You can make basically any lineup that you want with the White Sox. Any other stack, any other pitcher with the White Sox on both sides. Only Lubov is expensive on DK. He's not even expensive on FanDuel. 55 is the right price. It's probably arguably still cheap, given the fact that he's got 36 home runs at 273 ISO, creating runs 25% better than average, 15.1% barrels. He's a monster hitter. He's cheap because there's nothing around him in the lineup. He's way too cheap on FanDuel. Eloy Jimenez for 37.28 is way too cheap on both sites. 9% barrels, 48.1% hard hits, 17 home runs, a 105 WRC plus in 450 plate appearances. Sign me up. These 2 guys have been really disappointing this season, but there seems to be a good spot here, if nothing else, and they hit ahead of these guys. It's really limited. 64 WRC plus so far for Tim Anderson. 1 home run, 13 steals that he's been riding for quite a while. 92 WRC plus for Benintendi. 5 home runs, 13 steals that he's also been riding for quite a while. 251, 293. Terrible in the front end of the triple slash. 268, 334. A little bit better, but not what we're looking for out of these 2 guys. And these guys exist to get on base ahead of these guys and like make things happen on the base paths ahead of these guys. And they just haven't been doing it. That's why the White Sox have been so bad this year. Jean Moncada, 3,500, 2,900, 8 home runs on the season, and 92 WRC plus. 2 years ago, he was effective. 14 homers, a 122 WRC plus, and 616. That was a good season. He hasn't been back to that guy outside of the WBC when he was playing for Cuba, which was great, and I was hoping it would be an indicator of his season to come. Kind of fell apart, got hurt, etc., etc. Hasn't been good in a while, though, but a playable part at 3,500, 2,900 with upside. Andrew Vaughn, 3,400, 2,900. Too cheap for a guy with 20 home runs and 572 plate appearances, a 105 WRC plus, 175 ISO. Should be a little bit more expensive. Somebody on this team should be a little bit more expensive just to, make it more dynamic. Just you can get, again, anything with this team. Gavin Sheets, 26, 24. A little bit of power from the left side. First base and outfield eligible on both sites. 10 home runs and 307 plate appearances. Nothing else about the line is good at all. 65 WRC plus. But the idea of a little bit of power hasn't really hit that much in the show. 15 homers in 410 last year, 11 homers in 179. This was an interesting small sample outburst of power. 256 ISO in 179 plate appearances with 11 home runs. We get that guy. That's a nice buy for very, very cheap. Rutledge, just real quick to extend what we're talking about with him. In 50 and 2/3 innings, over 11 starts at AAA this year, 4.44 ERA with a 6.34 xFIP. Had a 1.24 home run per nine. I don't love home run per nine, but it's the only thing I got. Gave up 7 home runs to 225 AAA hitters. In AA, he made 12 AA starts this year, 68 and a third, 3.16 ERA with a 4.28 xFIP. Allowed 5 home runs to 272 AA hitters. Was striking out 22.8% at AA, walking 9.2%. In the AAA sample, he was striking out 19.6% and walking 13.3%. This is not a good pitcher. This is not a kid who's highly regarded within even the Nationals system as a pitcher. Not great. Not great. Good spot for the White Sox. They've disappointed at every single turn this season. If they completely went out and pushed a great start in Jackson Rutledge's direction, or even if he didn't have a great start, but they just didn't score any runs, a 2-1 Nationals win wouldn't completely shock me. But I'm going to this White Sox team a little bit tonight. They're an extreme value pricing, if nothing else. Elvis Andrus, you guys know I don't like Elvis Andrus at the bottom. Corey Lee, I do actually think Corey Lee's kind of interesting because he's 2,500, 2,100. He has a .065, 140, 130 triple slash with 1 home run in 50 plate appearances. He's negative 29 WRC plus, so he's 129% worse than average creating runs. It hasn't been good for Corey Lee so far, but he's very, very cheap. And bear with me. He did have 25 home runs in AAA with Houston in 446 plate appearances just last season with 12 stolen bases. This year in 302 in Houston's system in AAA, he had 5 home runs and 12 stolen bases. I do think there's a little bit of sneaky cheap ability there, if nothing else, going up against a guy who's not even a AAA pitcher, not even a AA pitcher. So maybe he's not a major league caliber player, but he's not facing a major league caliber pitcher. So for the dead minimum, for close to the dead minimum on FanDuel for 2,500 on DK, he's a functional part of this lineup. Jose Urena. Urena, excuse me. There's an enye on his, there's a tilde on the end, an enye, as they call it. That's when you pronounce it like a Y. Jake Swales says, yes, those games last night were awful. My God, was that some of the worst football I've ever seen. Just completely atrocious. Outside of like the injury, which obviously sucked, the Chubb injury. Don't watch that replay. It was just ghastly. But yeah, just an atrociously bad football slate yesterday. Definitely happy we were on a baseball day today. So Jose Urena, 2 starts since coming back to action. First was 4 innings, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, and an earned run at Detroit. Second start, he went 6 1/3, struck out 8, but he allowed 6 earned runs and 3 home runs to the Twins. I don't really know what to make of that other than the fact that I just kind of know that this guy's not a really good pitcher. 8.48 ERA in his 7 starts overall going back to the beginning of the season, 14.5% strikeouts, 11.6% walks over the last couple seasons. A couple other small samples, 102 2/3 of an inning in 18 starts back in 21. Had a 5.81 ERA, 4.87 xFIP, gave up some power. Last year, 97 innings and 17 starts, 5.01, 4.61. Limited power a little bit more effectively, but only 14.6% strikeouts last year, 14.7% the year before, 14.5% this year. He's consistently not good. Nationals bats, not one of my favorite teams overall to go to. There's a little bit of pop showing through in the lineup, though. They put bat on ball extremely well. They're a very, very low strikeout group. So I think against a pitcher who allows a ton of contact, the Nats are pretty firmly in play here. Let's see. I think we got this lineup. What the hell is this game? Oh, no, we didn't. Not yet. A lot of lineups dropping, though. So if we're going to the Nats, C.J. Abrams, he's cooled. He was really good at first in like the first month or so in that leadoff role. But still, over the course of the season, they have to be encouraged by what he's provided. 244, 299, 413. The average and the on base need to come up a little bit as he progresses, but only striking out 19.8% of the time. He's hit 18 home runs. He's stolen 42 bases. If he's getting on at like a 330 level, that's going to shoot up next season. Good player. Good option at shortstop, 4,800, 3,300. You take the flaws with the cheap pricing and the skill set for some counting stats, for some upside, hitting ahead of Lane Thomas, Joey Meneses, Keibert Ruiz, the three hitters I actually like in this lineup. Lane Thomas, 25 homers, 19 steals, 110 WRC+. Keibert strikes out at just a 9.9% rate, which is absurd. Only walks 5.8% of the time. That means everything is put in play. That's like the ideal kind of a hitter to have against Urena here. 4,000, 2,700. He's very cheap. He's got 17 home runs. Only a 149 ISO, only an 89 WRC+. The Nationals are not a good team. These are the players that we've got to work with, but it's a good situation for these hitters. Joey Meneses, only 4.9% barrels, but 41% hard hits is respectable. Only 19.5% strikeouts. 278, 325, 400. 3% worse than average creating runs, 11 home runs. Not a monster power hitter, but a very good bat on ball, put the ball in play type of a hitter. Again, when you combine low strikeout rates or relatively low strikeout rates with also low walk rates, that just equals balls in play. That's all we're really looking for in this spot against Urena. Dom Smith, 2,800, 2,400. 10 home runs in 548 plate appearances. Not exactly what the Nationals were looking for with Dom here. 92 WRC+, 260, 330, 365. He's okay. Another guy that'll put the bat on the ball, 15.7% strikeout rate, but only 6.4% barrels, only 31.3% hard hits. Should just be better than he is. Is that decent season from a couple years ago in here? No, it's not. 11 home runs in 493 plate appearances 2 years ago. What was a good season? Where did he peak with the Mets? He had that one year that was like kind of good that made us think that he was going to be all right. I think he had like 20 home runs. Nope, I'm wrong. Peaks were 11, 10, 11, so he's right on par. I thought he had one good season in there with the Mets. I guess I'm thinking of that 11 home runs. No, you know what it was? It was the 2020 season. That's what it was. It was the stupid broken 2020 season. In 50 games that year, 50 out of, 62, 60? He made 199 plate appearances, hit 10 home runs. That was the year I was thinking of. 299 ISO, 166 WRC+. Looked like a monster that season. Him and Luke Voigt. So, not much from Dom Smith. Carter Kaboom, kind of interesting. 4.4% barrels, 19.6% hard hits. 3 home runs and 70 plate appearances. Has been fairly inept in the triple slash so far. 61 WRC+. I don't really know why I think he's kind of interesting, to be honest. He came up as a somewhat decently regarded player. 26 home runs in 249 plate appearances 2 years ago. Missed last year. Oh, excuse me, 26 runs. Not home runs. It's 6 home runs in 249 plate appearances. 24.9% strikeout rate, 10% walk rate, 70 WRC plus that season. In the minors coming up, he was somewhat more interesting. 16 homers back in 2019 and 494 plate appearances. That was kind of the guy he was supposed to be. We haven't really seen him for a full sample in the show. Maybe unwind where I said interesting and just playable. 3,400, 2,700. Luis Garcia, not a $9,200, $9,400 pitcher. Totally don't need to do this, but I'll fix Will Smith while we're here too. That should be fixed. Chill, Joker. Joker just shook the entire desk. So Luis Garcia, well, I forgot to fix him on DK. Whatever. Ignore the price. Oh, that's right. There's another Luis Garcia hitter, so we don't even get his stats. That's so annoying. All right, 2,500 on FanDuel second base. He's playable, if nothing else. It's about all you get. Jake Alou, Jake Young, a little bit of speed at the bottom of the lineup, a 40 WRC plus, a 68 WRC plus. If you're rostering Nationals, your priorities are really here, top four, and then you're mixing and matching your way through these guys. White Sox, Nationals, neither pitcher. Greg Biancone nailed it. Thank God for RedZone on Sundays. That's the only way I can watch football. I enjoy football. I was into it like to start the season, but like last night even with 2 games on, it was just brutal. Those games were so bad. I love watching RedZone because it's just, you're flying around all the different action. You see everything that's important. And like people talk about baseball being boring or whatever, and obviously you guys know that that's not my line of thinking. I happen to think that baseball is fascinating and tense throughout the game and has more interesting, more tense, more fascinating situations per game than football by a mile. Football to me is 6 seconds of action followed by 5 minutes of standing around and 2 commercial breaks before the next play. 6 seconds of action, a lot of standing around. I don't know. I like football. I don't love football. I love baseball. I do love football DFS though. Christopher Sanchez, Spencer Strider. Limited projection for Strider in this one. Not at the top of the board. Justifiably so, I think. Tough matchup against the Phillies. He did just have a good game at Philadelphia against this same team. 9 strikeouts, 1 earned run in 7 innings. Before that, he faced St. Louis. 5 strikeouts, gave up 6. 9 strikeouts in 6 innings against the Dodgers at LA before that, but gave up 4. He's been a little bit more gettable this year. 3.73 ERA, but a sparkling 2.93 xFIP, 2.91% home run rate, 8.7% barrels. Those are up from last year's 1.33 and 6.1. Obviously, still a dominant strikeout pitcher, 37.6% strikeouts, 19.4% swinging strikes is just absurd. Even last year when he was at 38.3% strikeouts, he had a more human 15.5% swinging strike rate. 34.2% CSW called plus swinging strikes. That's outrageously good. He is easily the highest ceiling pitcher on the day or on any given slate, even with Blake Snell facing the Colorado Rockies. But he doesn't project great for the money. It is a good opponent, and there are a lot of premium high-end starters. If I build 5 lineups, Strider will be in one of them. But he's not going to be in like 3 out of 5. If I was building 150, I would have a pretty good share. But if the field is like explosively over the top on him, I would be happy to undercut the option and go to some other spots. I don't think that's going to be the case, given how high priced he is, given that there are other spots. So if he's low owned, I do think it's an opportunity to maybe grab a few additional shares. Phillies aren't unbeatable, as he demonstrated the last time out in their home park, but it's a threatening lineup. On the other side, Chris Sanchez, 79.85. I don't really think we need to tangle with the Braves on a pretty deep pitching slate. He's a pretty decent starter. 7 1/3, struck out 10, allowed a home run, 4 earned runs against this same Braves team the last time out. Struck out 4, no earned runs in 5 innings against Miami the start before that. Struck out 5, 3 earned runs in 4 2/3 against LA. And then went 6 innings in 3 straight before that. Decent starts. But is he really going to repeat the performance against the Braves? Do we really want to find out for 7,900, 8,500? I don't think he's that firmly on the board. Doesn't project out great. Overall, 23.6% strikeouts. Only a 4% walk rate is very, very good. Keeps him in ball games. 3.40 ERA, 3.22 xFIP. 3.99% home runs. Doesn't play well against the Braves. A lot of guys here with over the magic number for home run power. I think I side with the Braves lineup. I think I'll have the Braves in at least one stack in my limited entries. Ronnie Acuna, Albies, Riley, Olsen, Ozuna, tremendous power hitters. All those guys are over 30 home runs. All those guys are, everybody but one of those guys, Albies, is over 35 home runs for the season. That's ridiculous. 37 with 66 stolen bases for $6,900, $5,000 Ronald Acuna. It's just bonkers. They can't price him high enough. 168 WRC plus, does everything on the field. Albies, best second baseman in the game, 31 homers, 12 stolen bases, 116 WRC plus, 232 ISO. Riley, 36 homers, 235 ISO, 124 WRC plus. Olsen, 52 home runs, I believe leads baseball, 332 ISO, 161 WRC plus. Immense premium contact from all of these guys. Not the worst strikeout rates in the world. The fact that Acuna does everything that he does and strikes out 11.3% of the time and walks 11.3% of the time is just stupid. He shouldn't be allowed to be that good. None of these guys even approaching like 25% strikeouts, let alone 30. These guys are so good. And then the bottom of the lineup, Darno instead of Murph. We know that we can go to Darno. 11 home runs on the season, a 184 ISO in 264 plate appearances. One of, if not the top backup catcher for power in all of baseball. Orlando Arcia, Michael Harris. They're going to get to 20 home runs, possibly, probably, maybe. A couple weeks left. 117 WRC plus, 102 WRC plus. Tremendous late lineup plays. Kevin Pillar, 3,300, 2,400 instead of Eddie Rosario today. Take the righty bat against the lefty. Pillar's a capable enough hitter, 7 home runs, 4 steals, and 180 plate appearances. More here for defense, but a playable part of this lineup. If nothing else, you get a cheap price offset with him. On the Phil side, I think you want to go to them a lot less, considering that it is Strider on the mound. You could maybe take a position with them because they're good enough to do that with, but with all the premium hitting on the available on the board, it's kind of the same situation. Do we really want to tangle with Spencer Strider? Do we really want to throw Chris Sanchez at the Braves? Do we really want to throw the Phillies at Spencer Strider? Probably not. I just don't really see it. Kyle Schwarber's a tremendous hitter. He's still pulling a 6.09 to lead the team in the home run model. Everybody else below 3. Very limiting to face Spencer Strider for power. But Schwarb's pushes his way through it. 45 home runs on the season, a 282 ISO. Hit one to Washington, D.C. yesterday. Just a massive, massive ball. Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, all very playable parts. Turner and Harper are stars for 62, 6,000 on DK, 4,000, 3,600 on FanDuel. 26 homers, 27 steals, a 111 WRC plus for Trey. 18 homers, 9 steals, a 138 WRC plus to lead the team for Bryce. Alec Bohm getting shot in the cleanup spot, 279, 335, 436, creating runs 8% better than average. Stott has stolen 29 bases and is 4% better than average with 15 home runs. Pretty solid little triple slash. Excellent little player there for 4,600, 3,100 at second base. JT Realmuto, one of the top catchers in the game, 19 homers, 14 steals. Only a 101 WRC plus, but still a 204 ISO. Tremendous power hitter. If he gets on base, he can run. Very good contact profile. Nick Castellanos dropping in the lineup, 4,800, 3,300. Has been slumping a little bit, but 25 homers, 10 steals, a 106 WRC plus. Still a good triple slash. Brandon Marsh supports the team with a 375 on base and a 125 WRC plus over 441 from basically the bottom of the lineup the entire season. 3,300, 2,800, very, very cheap. Excellent hard hit rate at 47.6%. He's a good player. Happy to get to Brandon Marsh in my Philly stacks, but I'm not going to be stacking many Phillies. 5 lineups, I don't think I'm going to have any Phillies. If I had 10, probably still wouldn't have any Phillies. Johan Rojas, 2,800, 2,600. 2 homers, 12 steals in 133, slashing 300, 344, 442, 113 WRC plus. Interesting enough as a wraparound, if you're rostering this team. Everybody in this lineup creating runs better than average. Average WRC plus is 114, so on the average, they are 14% better than average creating runs than the average player. Better than average. Didn't need to say than the average player. That was already included. So, Braves bats, Strider, Phillies bats, Chris Sanchez value. And really, Sanchez is kind of limited. I think, do we have lineups here? Cleveland lineup in, KC lineup in. Beautiful. What's going on out there, gang? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't, hitting the subscribe lets you know when our completely variable shows go live. Hoping to do more for football during the week this week. Think it'll be a little bit more opportunity to do so, which is good. Should have projections up conservatively tomorrow morning. Maybe. We get the Thursday projections up and running. We'll get the Sunday main slate projections up early this week. We'll try and talk in stages rather than the marathon show. Game on, let's go. Asks Sterry, much lower than Strider than others in the industry. Do you have him with fewer innings? I'm not sure where others in the industry have him For innings, I did poke around as I typically do to see what's what going on around the industry. I'm comfortable with where we've got him. I mean, that's a if you get that, add on the bonuses, assuming that he gets there on either site, you're projected out beyond that. But yeah, I'm comfy with where we've got him. I think he's a little bit more gettable this season. He's going up against a fairly good team, so the Phillies are having an impact. What he's done a little bit this season is having a bit of an impact. He's obviously got dominant strikeout upside. There's no denying it. It wouldn't make Strider at all unplayable, but on a deep slate with a lot of options that I like a little bit better in better matchups, I think it's I'm comfy with being different from the industry. Let's put it that way. I don't think we looked at the pitching board. So, I mean, yeah, he's a few points down, but he's still, among the top options on the slate. I just greatly prefer Luis Castillo against Oakland, Blake Snell against Colorado. We've talked about Colorado being the worst team in baseball in the last few seasons, in the last few years, against when they face left-handed pitching. So, I mean, not just this season, like historically bad against lefties. And Blake Snell is quite possibly the best left-handed pitcher in baseball, especially for strikeout upside. Monster opportunity there. Excellent opportunity for Luis Castillo to go out and dominate the Athletics. Gallen against the Giants. A lot of free swingers in that lineup. You need good Gallen, not mediocre Gallen or medium Gallen. But I like that spot better. I love the spot for Pepio at cheaper prices against the Tigers. So it's driven a little bit by the matchups. A lot of other days, though, if these guys aren't facing those teams, that's one of our top projections of the day. I think we're only, if I remember where RG was, I think we're probably 2 strikeouts behind where RG's projection is. So they might be giving him another inning beyond what my model is. We've probably got him in the 5 and change range. Greg asks, is Strider chalk on FanDuel or is it Snell? I would have to guess it's Snell, but I'm not sure. My thinking would be Snell. Let's cheat. Let's cheat. It's toward the end of the season. Let's see where they got him across town. I won't give away RG's number, but I'll tell you which one of those guys is more popular. It was the way I thought. Snell up top. Yeah, it looks like they are even further out on Strider than I thought. Yeah, I'm comfy being below. I really am. I expect they've got him around 100 pitches. Not saying by any means, just to reiterate, not saying by any means that Spencer Strider can't beat this team and post a dominant start here. But you do have a couple low strikeout guys in the middle. The Phillies are just a generally good team. And at these prices, the biggest thing with Strider is he's got to be near perfect at those prices, especially comparative to where some of those other guys are priced in better matchups. If he goes out, even if he strikes out 8 or 9, and let's say he gives up 2 runs, a handful of hits, whatever, that really, really has an impact at these high prices. So that's the other word of caution with Strider. But it's not like this is a bad projection. It's just a little bit lower than around the industry. A lot of folks around the industry might be giving him a little bit of a nudge, just saying like, hey, Strider, he's probably better than what we're seeing here in the projection. I'm not sure how others handle it. I just kind of trust the model. So the Guardians, Logan Allen on the hill. Allen's been short-started in a handful of outings. Only 5 innings in 3 straight, went 4 innings before that, had 2 6-inning starts before that. I feel like they're managing his innings a little bit. Rookie, he's made 23 starts, thrown 122 and a third. I would have to guess that's his career high of innings already. So I suspect we're not getting more than 5 innings out of Logan Allen here. Yeah. 122 and a third this year in 23 starts, plus another 20 in AAA. So we're talking about 140 innings for him this year. He had never thrown more than... Let's see. That's the same year. All right. I was going to say more than 73, but that's incorrect. 120 and change last year across AA and AAA. So we're already like 20 innings out beyond what he's ever done before. I suspect that they're going to keep him to around 5 innings, which sucks because I like him. I think he's a good pitcher. I think it's a good opportunity going up against Kansas City here. He projects out fairly well for the money. I think he's moderately playable at 84 on DK. 93 on FanDuel is a little bit more problematic if we're not getting 6. If you think he's getting 6, and I haven't seen the team say anything that he's not, then maybe he's a little bit more playable. Last time at San Francisco, 5 strikeouts, walk 3, 1 earned run. Before that, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 earned run at LA. 5 strikeouts in only 4 innings against Tampa Bay. 5 strikeouts, 4 earned runs in 5 innings versus Tampa Bay. So semi-effective, short starts. And again, if it's a kind of situation with those short starts, he won't have the opportunity to make back any points from a run or two that he allows. So it's a really limiting factor if he's not pitching deep. Alec Marsh is working in bulk relief. 4 1/3 the last time out, struck out 5, gave up an earned run in bulk relief. 4 innings before that, struck out 6, gave up an earned run. He is effective in this relief role. 8 starts on the season, 60 1/3 total innings, partly in bulk relief, partly as a starter. 25.4% strikeout rate overall, 5.67 ERA with a 4.98 xFIP. In relief, should have had this in the notes. Forgot to add it. As a reliever, where's the stat line I'm looking for? Here it is. A 4.57 xFIP versus a 5.27 as a starter. 27% strikeout rate versus 24.4% as a starter. Allowing a 223 average with a 302 BABIP versus a 294 but a 326 BABIP. That might just be a little bit of luck, a little bit of happenstance in there. And then on the surface, 7.64 ERA in 35 1/3 innings as a starter and a 2.88 in 25 innings as the bulk reliever. So he's clearly better in this bulk relief role. Guardians, low strikeout though. Not necessarily frisky, not necessarily dangerous for runs, but the potential to limit his strikeouts. So even if you're inclined to go to the bulk relievers for 5,700 on the DK slate, not the greatest spot for him. I think we're looking at 4 innings and like 3-4 strikeouts, maybe a run or 2. So I don't really like the spot on DK. I think he's totally unplayable on FanDuel. Guardians bats, moderately playable. You do have a decent home run mark for Jose Ramirez, a little bit for Josh Naylor, but it's really a 2-man lineup. It's these 2 guys, and then slap hitting Steven Kwan if he happens to get on base. He's up to 343, still only a 101 WRC+, only 20 steals. Cole Calhoun, the memory of being a good lefty power hitter, has 5 home runs and 145 plate appearances, only a 163 ISO, limited contact. Ramon Laureano, an okay barrel rate, but limited overall hitter. 27.6% strikeouts, 9 homers, 9 steals in 369, 5% worse than average. 5% worse than average for Andres Jimenez as well, 13 homers, 29 steals. Moderate power, moderate output. Not great. Gabe Arias I do like at the bottom of the lineup, given an 8.9% barrel rate, 45% hard hits, and triple position eligibility for 2,100 on FanDuel. 10 home runs and 327 plate appearances. Wildly inconsistent, though. 33% strikeout guy, doesn't draw enough walks, doesn't get on base like at all. 79 WRC+. Bo Naylor, a little bit of sneaky catcher power, but limited, hitting 9th. Not a great spot in the lineup. If you're going to Royals against Logan Allen, followed by parts of the Cleveland bullpen, Bobby Witt is your key priority bat, obviously. 29 homers, 48 steals, a 115 WRC+, 10.85 in the home run model today. Very, very good contact. MJ Melendez, you don't have Sal in the lineup today. So you get MJ, you get Michael Garcia as bolt-on parts. Edward Olivares has been probably their second best hitter when Perez is out of the lineup. He's got 10 homers, a 183 ISO, 102 WRC+, 261, 314, 444, a playable part, an okay season. Nelson Velasquez is up to 14 home runs and only 141 plate appearances. Monster power. Kind of surprising output. 20% barrels, 47.8% hard hits, 27% strikeout rate. Totally fine if he's going to hit for this much power. 138 WRC+. This would cool in another 150 plate appearances or so. You're not really paying any kind of a tax, though, on what he's done. 31.29. This is every bit as good as like the Zach Gelofs and the Davis Schneiders of the world in similar plate appearances. I don't really understand why Nelson Velasquez isn't as high priced as those guys are. So with no tax on what he's done already, happy to take the opportunity if I go to Royals bats. Nick Lofton, mix and match part. Pretty capable over 40 plate appearances so far. 151 WRC+. Hitting for average, getting on base. Nick Prado, an okay contact profile from the left side for 2,700, 2,300. Pretty cheap option. 7 home runs and 320 plate appearances. Tyler Cropley, not familiar. Name rings a bell, but I'm not sure what he's done. He's their non-ranked prospect, 27 years old. That would be why. About to turn 28 in December. Nothing really to speak of whatsoever. In Double A this season, 168 plate appearances, 4 home runs. Triple A, 6 plate appearances. Rocketed through Triple A. Yeah, not really a overly interesting bat. Filling in at the catcher spot for the dead minimum on the FanDuel slate. Doesn't look like he made the DK slate. Kyle Isbell, 2,600, just kind of a mix and match guy at the bottom of the Royals lineup. If I was confident in 6 innings, it would be Logan Allen way up top. I'll put him up top anyway because I don't really like any other parts of this game. So Logan Allen, Guardians bats, Alec Martian bulk relief, Royals bats. Kind of a skippable game. Pirates Cubbies. This one's not skippable at all. I like the Cubbies here today. Let's grab the lineups. Ji-Hwan Bae back in the leadoff spot for the Pirates. Nico leading off for the Cubbies. I just hope we got the hitters that I want in the Cubs lineup. Cubbies are in my placeholder right now. I think they're all here. That's good. All right. Javier Baez, 18.2% strikeout rate in 95 2/3 innings, 9 starts, a little bit of relief work, 9.7% walk rate. Went 3 1/3 with 4 strikeouts, 4 walks, 4 earned runs at Colorado the last time. Can forgive that. 0 strikeouts in 5 1/3 versus Arizona, 3 earned runs, 2 homers. Had a weird 7 strikeout, 8 innings, 7 hit shutout against Cincinnati at Cincinnati. A tough ballpark to pitch in. 7 strikeouts in 7 innings, 1 earned run at Pittsburgh against this Pittsburgh team in the start before that. He's had a couple interesting outings. But overall, I don't think he's that good. 5,900, 6,600 projects out. Not that great, but for that money, it's kind of okay. If you desperately need a playable part for 5,900 that makes like a Braves Dodgers stack or something like that work, I don't think he's completely off the table for 59 on the DK slate. I don't think I want him at 66 on FanDuel. It's close, not in limited lineups. If I was building 150, is he one of the better cheapo guys? Not really. Got Drew Rom up here. I mean, there's not all that much daylight between those two projections. It's 4 points. I don't really like Drew Rom that much better, actually. Paul Blackburn against Seattle's probably a better option at 67, but that's a different price than 59. And that's, again, not tremendously differently projected. All the way up top for 75 for Alex Cobb. Again, a different price, but a value. This one's tricky. I don't really think Drew Rom's going to deliver for 53. Marsh in that bulk relief role, maybe. I don't think this one's good. I don't think that one's good. Colin Ray, no. He's also pitching in bulk relief. Jackson Rutledge, no. Falter, no. On the other side of this game, Urena, all these guys, no. Javier Baez might be your best bargain basement option on that DK slate. We don't like to chase, batter versus pitcher or anything like that, but it is encouraging that he had a good game against this team 4 starts ago. Struck out 7, pitched 7 innings in their home park. Again, that's not at all predictive of what's going to happen with this team tonight. That's just happenstance. It's just a data point. But it's at least a little bit encouraging about the idea that maybe he goes 6, has a shot to book the bonuses with a team that I expect to win this game handily. They're going up against Bailey Falter, 17.8% strikeout rate in 12 starts, 77 2/3 for Bailey Falter. 4 strikeouts, gave up a run in 6 innings against the Nationals in his last outing. 3 2/3 in each of 2 bulk relief outings before that. 3 strikeouts, 2 strikeouts. Clean day against Milwaukee in limited action. Gave up a run to St. Louis in those 2. 4 2/3 in a start against this Cubs team. Probably on the other side of that Assad game. Gave up 6 earned runs, a home run, struck out 3. Again, not predictive of what's going to happen to him today, but the model likes the spot for the Cubbies quite a bit. 4 guys over the magic number for power. Dansby, Cody, Chris Morel, Pat Wisdom. I like all 4 of those bats quite a bit. All four of those bats may or may not be in my placeholder lineup at the moment. Nico, still expensive off the top, 57.33. Price has come down a little bit. It's a little bit more appropriate on the FanDuel slate. 57 is still pretty high at second base on the DK slate. For a guy creating runs, just 4% better than average. He does have 41 steals, 346 on base. Sets the table fine for these guys. This is just a little bit still uncomfortably high priced, but it's cooled a little bit. It's come down a little. Dansby, 52.31. Nice bargain price for him. Over the magic number for power, 11.3% barrels, 20 home runs this year. Last year he had 25. The year before he had 27. He is a good power hitting shortstop. Bit of a dip overall this year. 105 WRC plus, only 7 stolen bases. Not a Dansby Swanson kind of a season, but effective. And against this pitcher, hitting second is a primo spot in the lineup. I had him in my placeholder lineup when I thought he was going to be hitting sixth. Cody, monster season for Cody Bellinger. 25 homers, 20 steals, 136 WRC plus, 223 ISO. Premium left-handed bat, first base and outfield eligible on both sites. Fair price on FanDuel, high price on DK, but totally worthwhile. 12.26 in the home run model. Seiya Suzuki, having a nice year. 18 home runs, 119 WRC plus, 195 ISO, 275, 346, 470 in the triple slash, 10.4% barrels, 47.1% hard hits, is second on the team to Chris Morel. Drives the ball really effectively. Not a massive home run hitter. Fits into the team theme of like being a good home run hitter and a really good driver of the baseball who can get on base at a good clip, create runs, help with correlated scoring. Very good on base percentages for most of this team. We'll leave out part-time Pat Wisdom and Alex Canario at the bottom of the lineup. But across the regular or more regular players, 337 average on base percentage. If we took out the 311 that Chris Morel unfairly took out, 342. If we also clip John Gomes. The key everyday bats, Nico, Dansby, Bellinger, Suzuki, and Ian Happ have an average on base of 347. Pretty damn good. Gomes is a playable catcher for 34.26, hitting in the middle of the lineup. Decent power bat, 9 home runs in 378, also slashing 272, 312, 413. Pretty effective hitter as a catcher. Ian Happ, I really like, 4,800, 3,200, gets on base at a 360 clip, has individual power with 18 home runs, 14 steals, 116 WRC plus on the board for the season. Chris Morel, one of the most fun players on this team, maybe in the entire league. 5,100 third base outfield, 3,200 third base outfield and second base on the FanDuel slate. Dynamite flexibility between these two hitters on the FanDuel slate. You also get these two guys with flexibility on FanDuel. It's a great option on the blue side. Very good option on DK, but a great option on FanDuel given all the flexibility and the very cheap pricing. 23 homers on the board for Morel in 390 plate appearances at 249 ISO, 116 WRC plus. Patty Wisdom, 13.37, leads the team. Home run pick of the day. 19.5% barrels, 54.4% hard hits, leads the team in both categories. 21 home runs and only 283 plate appearances. He's at the Mendoza line, 200 batting average. He strikes out 36.4% of the time. Walks 10.2%, not exactly a 3 true outcomes guy. 287 on base, needs to push the walks to be able to be in the lineup every single day. That's why he's a part-time player, because the on base is weak. But he's got massive power. Against a weak lefty pitcher, monster power. Love the option for Patty Wisdom. Alex Canario, I do not know at the bottom of the lineup. Is Canario a prospect or is he a part-timer getting a shot? He's in between. 23. Coming into the season, he was their 22nd ranked prospect. This season, he rocketed through the organization. He started in developmental league, high A, skipped double A, right to triple A. 161 plate appearances in triple A, 8 homers, 2 steals, 248 ISO, 111 WRC plus. Double A last year. Maybe he was injured to start the season because it looks like he did reach triple A last year. Mostly at double A last year. Started last year at high A. 100 plate appearances, 7 homers, 3 steals. Jumped to double A, 350 plate appearances, 24 homers, 17 steals. Moved to triple A. I'm assuming this is the order that these things went in, by the way. It would make sense. 84 plate appearances, 6 homers, 3 steals last year at triple A. And then, like I said, started back in the... it probably didn't start in the development complex. Just got sent there, probably took an injury early in the season. And that would explain the limited overall, only 200 and change plate appearances overall. Seems like a capable enough guy. Not really familiar with him. He wasn't really highly regarded by traditional scouting. Dead minimum price on FanDuel if you need it. Seems like it's there. 2,300 on DK if you need it. Seems like it's there. Helps you buy something else if you're stacking up Cubbies. I wouldn't want to sacrifice either of these two guys. Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki. There's nobody on this team that I would want to sacrifice to include Canario. But with the idea that he's so cheap, it would make something happen. So if you had to leave like an Ian Happ on the table, maybe. Much as I like Happ, much as he's the most capable on base and run creation guy out of these three, he's probably also the most skippable, just given more limited power than these two guys. Pirate side of things, if you're going that way, Ji-Hwan Bae, limited hitter overall, 69 WRC plus, not a great option in the leadoff role, 304 on base percentage, 23 steals, but doesn't get on base nearly enough. Brian Reynolds, 22 homers, 12 steals, 202 ISO, 113 WRC plus. Kind of pulled things together. This line looks a little bit better than it did a couple of weeks ago. Their best player overall, but less than a superstar, more than an average player. 54-34, fairly priced. Brian Hayes, 49.3% hard hits, up to 13 homers, 10 steals, 99 WRC plus. It's an okay season, 478 plate appearances. We'd like more, but it's an effective enough bat if you're going to Pirates. 3,600, 2,900 is pretty cheap for Jack Sawinski. He's got 25 homers, 12 steals, a 110 WRC plus, a 239 ISO. Monster contact numbers. Josh Palacios, Andy Rodriguez, Henry Davis. Handful of players with a little bit of upside. Palacios has 8 home runs, 5 steals, and 237, but only a 74 WRC plus. Two of their highly regarded prospects. Andy Rodriguez, 2 homers, a 65 WRC plus, and 169 chances. Henry Davis, 5 homers, a 68 WRC plus, and 216 chances. Striking the ball okay. Alfonso Rivas, Leo Peguero. Peguero's been their best of the young prospects, 174 plate appearances. He's got 7 homers, 5 steals, 88 WRC plus. Mix and match options late in the lineup. Not the greatest opportunity in the world. I don't really love the Pirates stack today. Not that that's going to reinforce the idea of going to Assad. But I prefer the Assad for cheap option on DK, I think, to Pirate stacks here. Cubbies bats with a bullet. Javier Assad, very limited option. DK value play only, really. Extreme dart, but maybe it's there at 5,900. And then really not much Pirates, or if any, and then limited Bailey Falter. Just looking at some of the chat. So Mamba says, I don't think Pepio has any upside against the Tigers. The only thing I change is putting Cobb ahead of Pepio. Interesting. Curious, Mamba. Why do you think he doesn't have any upside against the Tigers? They're a really good young pitcher. Strikeout upside. They've been better, but I mean. Curious. Mamba says, wow, Tara, who's your SP2? Or better yet, where do you find value at pitching with elevated Snell price? Well, I think that, if you're looking for the SP2 board, I think we just kind of broke it down. Wow, that's what I just did after you broke down the Webb pitching. Didn't know he would be limited, so now I only have 4 pitchers in my player pool. Yeah, Webb. Wait, Webb? Webb's not pitching today, is he? Am I losing it? Cobb? Did you mean Cobb? Cobb only went 3 innings last start against San Diego. He threw that near no-hitter, then went 5, went 3. Or went 3, then went 5. Clean that up for me, Mom, but let me know what you're talking about. I appreciate the conversation, though. Greg Biancone says, Tara, what about Castillo over Snell on FanDuel GPP? I could use the $400. No issue with that whatsoever. I love both spots. Castillo, one of the top pitchers in baseball, facing one of the bottom lineups in all of baseball. Totally viable. And, not that big a downgrade from... I just love the opportunity for Snell facing that terrible Rockies lineup against lefties. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Cobb, not Webb. Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, if Cobb's limited, then definitely that takes him out of the overall pool. What was his pitch count over here? They got him in a full pitch count across town. I think I just had him around 5 innings. Yeah, letting him throw 131 pitches in that one hitter might have been a mistake. He was pushed back. Hip issue, okay. So he's got a little bit of hip pain going on, apparently. He was pushed back. He was supposed to start over the weekend, got pushed back to today. We're out ahead of ourselves a little bit. That's Alex Cobb that we're talking about. So yeah, that would certainly be a limiting factor on Cobb. Cobb, not Webb. Falter and Feltner going tonight. Yeah, we're all over the place. All right, let's get back into this one. Mamba, let me know why you don't think Pepio's got any upside, though. I'd like to hear that. Mamba's a sharp guy, so I'm interested in that opinion. This one, Colin Ray coming in bulk relief, I think is targetable for Cardinals bats. He has been a messy pitcher this season. 4.60 home run rate, 90 plus miles an hour of exit velo, 42 plus of hard hits, 8.2% barrels, a 4.89 ERA. Better on the xFIP, 4.38 isn't bad on the xFIP, 20.9% strikeout rate. He had a couple good spots where he put up a decent start when we were looking to target him, but overall he's been extremely gettable. He's pushing some pretty high home run marks. 4 guys in the Cardinals lineup also over the magic number for home run potential. Trevor McGill getting the opening role here, but should only go like an inning. He's targetable as well. I don't have any issue going to that. They're also both righties, so we're not gaining any kind of lefty-righty gamesmanship out of the situation. Lars Nootbaar in the leadoff spot has this home run mark, I'm sure, or better against Trevor McGill as well. So no issues with any of the projections the way they read on the board here for the Cards. I like the opportunity for Cardinals. I would not roster either of the Brewers pitchers. Drew Rom on the other side, he was on that list of extremely cheap guys. He projects out okay. He projects out actually ahead of that Javier Assad play. We're talking about a pitcher overall with a 16.8% strikeout rate and a 12.1% walk rate in his 22 2/3 over 5 starts, though. 5.96 ERA with a 5.66 xFIP, giving up 90 plus exit velo, 43 plus hard hits, 11.8% barrels, 3.74% home runs. Last time out, he did go 5 1/3, struck out 7, walked 3, 2 hits, 0 earned runs at Baltimore. If you get that guy today, that's a smash spot. Can't guarantee it. Time before that, 0 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 home runs, 4 earned runs in 3 2/3 at Cincinnati. I think the upside's limited. I think the ceiling's limited. Obviously, if he goes out and strikes out 7 and pitches 6 clean innings and gets you the bonus, you're in business for 5,300 on the DK slate. So I guess we can put him on that list. I don't think I want him that much at 64 on FanDuel. Maybe I mix him into 1 or 2 lineups. But the Brewers aren't a bad team on the other side. A little bit of power, a little bit of run creation ability. They're not great. Only 2 guys above average for run creation, which is weird for a team that I believe they're still in the playoffs, right? You can tell the Yankees are out of it because I have no idea what the playoff races look like. I mean, I have a vague idea, but I don't have the exact minute-by-minute, blow-by-blow in my head. Yeah, Brewers lead that division by a pretty wide margin. 6 games up, 84 and 66. That's absurd. They're 6 games up when their lineup has an average WRC plus of 92. It's just stupid. Pitching's really good. Anyway, Josh Donaldson leading the team with a 13.44 in the home run model. He's got 11 on the season and 148 plate appearances. He's got a monster contact profile. He sucks otherwise, 155, 250, 426, but obviously a little bit of power, a little bit of home run opportunity against Drew Rom, the lefty here. Mark Canha in the leadoff role. I like that, 363 on base percentage. One of the 2 guys in this lineup above average for run creation. William Contreras. Okay, so we don't have, this projected doesn't have Christian Yelich, so that would be one reason why, and here's the confirmed, and he's not in that either. That would be one reason why they're all below average for run creation. Yelich would be the 3rd guy above average. Confirmed version of the lineup, we add in Sal Frelick, who's at a 110 WRC plus over 183. So we're gaining ground. But William Contreras, very good catcher option, 5,100, 3,200, hit second, tremendous triple slash, 16 home runs, a 121 WRC plus. Carlos Santana, limited power hitter, 21 home runs on the season, hits from both sides of the plate, but 233, 314, 414, home run or bust type of an option. 17.2% strikeouts, though. Doesn't really strike out a lot, walks at a decent clip, but just doesn't give you tons in terms of on base or run creation. Might be a little bit of bad luck involved there, given that he's limited in strikeouts. Not that it really makes a difference in our read on Carlos Santana, whether he's got a bad BABIP, but I suspect he does. 249 BABIP. Woof. Man, dude has no luck. I assume this is mostly fly balls. But over the last few seasons, Carlos Santana, 16.9% strikeouts in 2020, a 212 BABIP. 15.5% strikeouts in 2021, a 227 BABIP. 17.4% in 2022, a 209, and this year a 249. Has never struck out 20%. Walks at a very good double-digit clip every year of his career. He's a good hitter. Anyway, Willy Adames, tons and tons of power, 24 home runs, 212, 303, 406. A lot of guys just kind of like this in this lineup. Donaldson I talked about. Tyrone Taylor up to 7 home runs in 213 plate appearances. Does have cheap, sneaky power late in the lineup. Frelick, capable guy, 268, 372, 386 with a 110 WRC plus, 3 homers, 7 steals. And his price has come back down to earth, 4,100, 3,000 after the hot start. Much more playable and affordable. Andrew Monasterio, 95 WRC plus over 288. 69 WRC plus for Blake Perkins over 139. Moderately interesting if you're stacking up a bunch of Brewers lineups. These guys get into some of the later builds. Blake Perkins, former second-round pick, I think. Never really landed at this level. Hasn't done much in a little bit of an opportunity this year. And Monasterio looked like he was okay earlier in the season. He was one of the few guys above average at the bottom of the lineup, but has slipped a little bit. 3,100, 2,400. Does fill 3 positions on FanDuel, 2 on DK. At least a key value component if you're stacking Brewers. Cardinals bats. Brewers bats. Neither one of the pitchers, but maybe Drew Rum is on that DK SP2 extreme value board. I don't think you need to dip that low tonight on DK, but if you do, he's probably one of your two options. Rangers lineup, I think, is here. Where is it? There it is. Evaldi, I don't think we're getting depth out of. Might get 5 innings. Don't think we're getting anything beyond that. And in a matchup against the Red Sox, not really all that compelling an option. He projects out okay. This is only a 5-inning projection. So he projects out all right, 96, 10, 1. But on a day where we expect guys like Snell and Castillo and maybe Strider and so on and so forth to kind of run off and hide, I don't think that Evaldi's priced appropriately for having a 5-inning ceiling. He went 3 1/3 the last time, struck out 3, walked 3, 2 earned runs. In the first 2 outings since coming back, 2 1/3 and 1 1/3. So they're just really kind of gradually increasing him. 75, 80 pitches, 5 innings. I think that's where we're capped. So the fact that it's the Red Sox, if it was like the Rockies on the other side, maybe you could get away with it. Against the Sox, I don't really see it. I think you can go to some Red Sox bats, but they're kind of capped at the same time by the fact that Evaldi will be pitching 4 or 5 innings against them. Verdugo, Devers, Turner, Yoshida, Duvall, Trevor Story, playable against anybody basically. Verdugo's got 13 homers, a 327 on base, only a 101 WRC plus. It's not the greatest Alex Verdugo season. We're expecting a little bit more in terms of the average, the on-base skills, if nothing else. Maybe around 18 to 20 home runs. But hitting ahead of Rafi Devers, Justin Turner, and Yoshida is a primo spot in any given lineup. Devers 52, 4,000, still cheap on DK, 33 home runs, 244 ISO, 131 WRC plus. Turner's cheap, 47, 34, plays 2 positions on FanDuel, first base on DK, and you don't have Tristan Casas in the lineup to conflict with him, and you can get Dahlbeck if you want him at first or third. Not that that's ideal because you're still a conflict with either Turner or Devers when you go to Dahlbeck, but it does provide some flexibility. 23 homers, 281, 350, 469 for Justin Turner, 19% better than average creating runs. Yoshida, terrific rookie year, 109 WRC plus, or terrific first season in the show for a guy who played a lot of years in the NPB. 4,400, 2,900, cheap, very, very good line drive hitter, capable on base guy, creates runs pretty well. Duvall, monster power, 19 home runs and only 323 at 281 ISO, tremendous power hitter. Trevor Story, 2 home runs, 8 steals, 31 WRC plus, not great. Triple slash, pretty bad. Premium contact is there. That's all we care about. Give me the contact. Give me the fact that he's running. I'll take my chances at 4,000, 2,700 with Trevor Story. Connor Wong, kind of Higashioka-like in that he makes pretty okay contact, 8.7% barrels. The hard hit rate is lower than Higgy's, but he also plays a lot more, 376 plate appearances. Only 9 home runs to Higgy's 10 in fewer plate appearances, but similar kind of like low end, but capable of putting the bat on the ball type catchers. Bobby Dahlbeck in his 21 plate appearances has a 22.2% hard hit barrel rate and a 77.8% hard hit rate. Yet to hit a home run. We talked about him yesterday. I love the hitter. He's a major league hitter. He should have been traded. If they didn't want him in the show, they should have traded him and got something from him. Hopefully, he finds a spot to stick in the show because he's a major league power hitter. Luis Urias, 2,600, 2,300, 3 home runs on the season. Kind of limited compared to what he's done over the last couple of years. 16 homers and 472 last year. 23 and 570 the year before. Was more interesting in years past, but he's very cheap. Does play multiple positions in the infield. Tanner Houck going for the Bo Sox. 6 innings, 5 1/3, 5 innings in the last 3. 3 starts back, he struck out 5, but gave up 4 in 5 innings against Kansas City at Kansas City. Struck out 5, gave up 5 in 5 1/3 against Baltimore. Struck out 7, walked 3, 4 hits, no runs in 6 innings against, of all teams, my New York Yankees. That's the kind of thing that the Yanks tend to do. I think Houck is okay, but he doesn't project out great. I don't think he's got a monster ceiling against this Rangers team. 21.6% strikeouts, 4.94 ERA, 3.99 xFIP. He does cap power a little bit, 6.5% barrels, 2.99% home runs on a 6.4 degree average launch. So it's a little bit of a limiting impact that you can see in the home run marks for the Rangers. So maybe he limits the Rangers a little bit more than like he's a viable player. I think he's better, one of these guys that's a better overall MLB pitcher than a DFS pitcher on most nights. Rangers, if you're going there, you're clearly taking the 2 stars off the top. 6,000, 3,600, kind of differentiated prices for Marcus Semien. 25 homers, 14 steals. He's worth the money on both sites, but he's a bargain at 36 on the FanDuel slate at second base. Corey Seager, 67.44. You're paying a premium, but he delivers a premium, so no issues with the price on Seager. 176 WRC plus, 31 homers, 311 ISO in only 485 plate appearances. He's virtually in the MVP conversation, despite 200 fewer plate appearances than the guys who are leading that conversation. I mean, he is damn close for a guy who missed a pretty sizable chunk of the season. Nathaniel Lowe is cheap for a guy with 16 home runs, a 123 WRC plus. Good driver of the baseball with a 40.6% hard hit rate for only 4,500, 3,100 at first base. Josh Young back in the lineup, 4,700, 3,300, 22 home runs, 465 plate appearances. Missed a lot of the last 2 months or so since he got hurt. Nice to see him back. 213 ISO, 118 WRC plus. Big uptick for this lineup. Robbie Grossman, 3,400, 2,800. 10 home runs, filled in admirably while the 6 hitter Adolis Garcia, who's back in the lineup as well, was out. Garcia, 54, 35. Weird spot to find him in the lineup. Typically he's hitting 4th, but totally playable there. 34 home runs on the season, a 249 ISO, a 118 WRC plus. This lineup's kind of back to form. Jonah Heim, 4,300, 3,000, 17 home runs and 457. No Mitch Garver today. You do get Leody Taveras and Evan Carter at the bottom of the lineup. Carter's been productive since we talked about him 36 plate appearances ago when he was making his debut. Up to 3,600, 2,700. Still pretty cheap and functional from the bottom of the lineup here. 214 ISO, 144 WRC plus, a homer, 2 steals. I kind of like this Rangers lineup top to bottom. Not the greatest matchup in the world against Houck, but they could certainly get to him. Even if they're not hitting home runs, I think they can just create runs against him. Get into the bullpen, and then we're off and running. But pretty damn good options through the top 4. Garcia, Heim, these guys. It's a good lineup, if nothing else. Team to keep an eye on over the next couple of days now that they're back to full health. Maybe they get a opportunity against somebody who doesn't limit fly balls, limit home run opportunities to really take off. But they're definitely in play today. Rangers bats, Red Sox bats. Neither pitcher. Pitching's kind of concentrated today. That jibes with the board. Red Sox rank 8th. 8th by FanDuel value, 10th by DK value, 12th by home run upside. Rangers land 14th. Not that much separation, but they're tough to get to in terms of the value. 20th and 22nd points per dollar, and only 23rd for home run potential with Houck's ability to keep the ball down, cutting into their home run upside. But I like both teams. Orioles, Astros, Kyle Gibson, Hunter Brown. Do we have the Orioles lineup? Not yet. Astros lineup looks like it's basically the everyday version. I think they're playable against Kyle Gibson here. Gibby projects out okay. 82, 83. Hasn't really been pitching to premium form. Typically works 6+ if he's going okay. Last time out, 6 2/3, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks, an earned run against St. Louis. Start before that, only 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 3 earned against the Angels at Los Angeles. Went 6 innings in that one. 2 strikeouts in 4 1/3 versus the White Sox. Had a big game several starts back. 3 earned runs allowed, but went 8, struck out 8 against Toronto on August 24th. Has had a couple upside games, but the Astros are not the team to push an upside game to them. Limited strikeouts up and down the lineup. They're one of the best teams in baseball in terms of not striking out. They've got immense power. They've got very, very good run creators and on-base guys. It's the Astros. They're a team of stars. I don't think we tangle with them. Even with Gibby at price, I just don't really see it. I think it's a little bit thin. If it was against even another good team that just had a little bit more strikeout potential, I could maybe make an argument for it. The Astros are just 17.8% strikeout rate for this confirmed lineup overall. They're just spectacular at avoiding strikeouts. It just caps the upside. I don't really see it for Gibby. I think that's actually even a little bit high in terms of the projection. He's probably pulling a 6+ innings projection to support that. He might hit around that level, but I don't think there's much ceiling beyond that projection for Gibby today. On a day with several very high ceilings. Hunter Brown on the other side, 85, 95. Realistic projection against Baltimore. They're a good lineup. They're a playoff team. They've had a great year. Brown is a very good pitcher overall. That said, he hasn't finished 6 innings since he did it 4 straight times to end July and start August. It was like 2 starts in July, 2 starts at the beginning of August, went 6. I think it was exactly 6 or 6. It was at least finished 6 in all 4 of those. Then they moved him to the pen to get a relief outing. 2 innings of relief. Came back to the rotation, went 2 2/3, 5 innings, 4 innings, 4 1/3, 5 innings. I think it's another pitcher where we're just dealing with a young pitcher who's thrown way more innings than he ever has before, and they're trying to manage it to limit the exposure and to keep his arm healthy. That said, 146 1/3, giving us a 27.3% strikeout rate, 4.61 ERA with a 3.43 xFIP. That's much, much better and indicative of who he really is. 7-degree average launch cuts into the home run upside on the other side for Baltimore. 3.23% home run rate, 90+ miles an hour of exit velo, 43.4% hard hits. But when it's on a 7-degree angle, we don't typically care. Has run into a 9.7% barrel rate, so some of the very hard hit balls have been on a high home run trajectory. That's where the 3.23% home runs comes from. But overall, I think we're getting 5 good innings out of Hunter Brown here. I just think we're probably capped around 5 good innings. 85 on DK, marginally playable. He needs to find his strikeout form. 95 on FanDuel, probably pushing it. Again, on a day with a lot of ceiling potential. I don't know what his ceiling looks like. I don't know that we get 6. I don't know that we get the quality start bonus even. So this is a little bit high for my tastes. You could probably grab some Orioles on the other side against them. They're fairly cheap for as good as they are. Really on both sides. Only Adley and Gunnar priced over 5,000 on DK. Only Gunnar really priced high on FanDuel at all. Everybody else, pretty affordable. Gunnar's their best player right now. 27 home runs, 9 steals, a 127 WRC+, 242 ISO for the rookie. Monster season. Third base and shortstop eligible on both sites, 54.37. Perfectly fair price to pay. Adley, 52.32. Dynamite catcher option, up to 19 home runs, a 120 WRC+. Gets on base like crazy, 365 on base. Doesn't strike out, walks at a great clip. Awesome player. Anthony Santander, 4,500, 3,300, 27 home runs. He hit 33 last year and 18 in, is that right? 18? I thought he had 30 plus the year before. Maybe it was 3 years ago. Either way, trying to get to 30 home runs for the second year straight, a premium power bat over the last few seasons. Switch hitter, both sides of the plate, 10.8% barrels, 46% hard hits. Dynamite power bat with a 221 ISO, 118 WRC+. Plus. Basically everybody in the lineup above average for run creation. Histon Kjerstad only made 9 plate appearances so far, so we can ignore his. And Adam Frazier at the bottom of the lineup, 97 WRC plus over 427, the weird 13 home runs that he's put up. But everybody through the heart of the batting order is having pretty good years. Ryan O'Hearn having the best 326 plate appearances of his life, 130 WRC plus, 13 home runs, 306, 335, 508. I would question if you went back to high school and found 326 plate appearances, would they be this good for Ryan O'Hearn? 52.1% hard hits, 10.5% barrels, no tax to speak of. Absolutely playable. That's why I don't understand the Davis Schneider tax, because a guy like this who's been doing it all season, we've got history of O'Hearn not being good, but he's been carrying it over 326 plate appearances. He should be more expensive. If we're taxing one guy, we should be taxing the other one. Or we should just not tax these guys at all. Cedric Mullins, 4,600, 3,200, 15 homers, 17 steals. Say it with me, former 30-30 guy. Say that every single time. 110 WRC plus, dynamite player, hitting fifth, hitting down lineup wherever he lands. Awesome option. 4,600, 3,200, not expensive enough. Aaron Hicks, 27-26, about the right price. 8 home runs, 4 steals, a 112 WRC plus. Gets on base effectively, sees a lot of pitches. Jordan Westberg, high-end prospect that they brought up 206 plate appearances ago, has comported himself fairly well. 100 WRC plus is exactly league average. Decent triple slash, 3 homers, 4 steals. I mentioned Kjerstad before, 2,600, 2,400. Very, very affordable for a top prospect, one of the top prospects in all of baseball. 173 WRC plus with a homer on the board in his 9 plate appearances. If you're going to the Astros, which I think you can do against Kyle Gibson, Altuve's a superstar at second base off the top. 6,300, 4,000, appropriately priced. 17 homers, 13 steals, and only 359 plate appearances. 161 WRC plus, one of the best run creators in baseball this season in his healthy opportunities. Bregman played a full season, 23 home runs, 126 WRC plus. Power's dipped a little bit overall, but still a very good season overall for Bregman. Only strikes out 12% of the time, walks 12% of the time. Jordan Alvarez, 18.4% strikeouts, 14% walks. Kyle Tucker, 13% strikeouts, 11% walks. Problematic for Gibson, especially when those guys have 28 home runs in 450 plate appearances and 27 in 627. Tucker adds 28 steals, 172 WRC plus for Alvarez. Tucker's 38% better than average creating runs. Jose Abreu, 4,000, 16 homers, 83 WRC plus. He's okay. He's playable at cheap prices. Chas McCormick, 46.32, very cheap for a guy who's slashing 284, 365, 503, a 219 ISO, a 140 WRC plus, 20 homers, 19 steals. Jainer Diaz is too cheap, 4,400, 2,900. He's had a great season over 355. 12.8% barrels, 44.5% hard hits. 7.37 in the home run model from the catcher spot. Cheap catcher, playable on both sites. 127 WRC plus, a 257 ISO. Mauricio Dubon, if nothing else, only strikes out 13.4% of the time. 9 home runs, 7 steals. As we noticed yesterday, basically as good as Jeremy Pena this year. Pena in 590 plate appearances, 10 homers, 11 steals, 97 WRC plus. These guys are basically the same at the bottom of the lineup. Dubon strikes out a lot less. Playable parts at the bottom with those two. Kind of priorities, 1 through 4, 6, and 7. I like the opportunity for the Astros here. Houston ranked 4th overall by fantasy points, 11th by value on FanDuel, 19th by value on DK. Some high prices for sure. 7th overall by home run upside. The Orioles, 7th on the fantasy point board, 8th for value on FanDuel, 7th for value on DK, but 20th by home run upside with Brown's ability to keep the ball down. So it's bats on both sides. I don't think either of the pitchers are incapable by any means. You could get 5-6 good innings out of both of them and limitations on the output from both teams. But the model's leaning toward the bats, so I will as well. I'll go Astros bats, I'll go Orioles bats. And then considering that it's probably going to be limited innings for Brown, where Gibson has untethered ability to go 8 if he's going well, go 9 if he's going well. It's not going to happen, but I'll have to put Kyle Gibson on top of Hunter Brown. But Brown is the better of the two pitchers right now in terms of strikeouts, has the better matchup, just probably only going 5 innings. What's going on in the chat? Monty Pritchett says, why is O'Hearn still so low price? What's the reasoning for that? Monty, you heard me rail about it, man. That's I don't really get it. When they kick up the pricing on guys like Davis Schneider after 100 plate appearances, where he's just been tearing the cover off the ball undeniably, but there's not any more support for Davis Schneider being a superstar than there is for Ryan O'Hearn, outside of O'Hearn kind of sucking for 5 years in Kansas City. But yeah, if they're pricing guys for current level output and only current level output, then they should do it accordingly for everybody, and they don't. So I think that provides value. Those are guys that you want to look for in building lineups. Mama says, hey, Tara, I changed my mind on Pepio, although I don't see the big strikeout game. He only needs to get through 6-7 clean innings, which I think he can do. Yeah, I agree with that, and I do think there's strikeouts available for him, if nothing else. And he's got, I love young pitchers that have 1++ incredibly good pitch, and his changeup qualifies as that. So against a fairly free-swinging Tigers club, if you can avoid the power from guys like Kerry Carpenter, guys like Torkelson, we're going to talk about this in a couple of minutes. I think it's an interesting opportunity there. Guys talking about Ybor City. Greg Biancone says Cuban food next. Oh, don't get me started. We've done that already. Solid Pick says, if I pay up for pitching on FanDuel, I have trouble finding good stacks for the price. This is a flaw in my strategy. I would maybe limit the term good stacks, but the model loves the White Sox, and they're extremely cheap today. That's my cheapo FanDuel guy. I have a White Sox Cubs with Blake Snell placeholder, and it's got, I think, $400 left over. Maybe $300, because I couldn't improve. It uses Corey Lee, the cheapo White Sox catcher at the bottom of the lineup, and left a couple $100 on the table. I couldn't move him up to, I forget who the next cheapest guy was. It might have been Benintendi or Timmy. It was 100 shy of being able to do that. But I think if you're willing to embrace a lineup like the White Sox or one of these other kind of cheapo lineups, possibly like the Mariners here, if you leave out Julio, everybody else on the Mariners is pretty damn cheap going up against Paul Blackburn. I think you can squeeze value. You just got to be willing to embrace some of the, not Braves, not Dodgers type teams, not Astros type teams. But I do think there's a lot of ways to get to those premium pitchers today. What do we got lineups wise? Mariners and the Athletics. A's lineup is in. Mariners is not. Luis Castillo will start there. 43.4 in the FanDuel model. One of the top pitchers on the board. 11-3, 10-9. Totally worth it. 3.08 ERA, a 3.78 xFIP, only a 1.04 WHIP, 6.4% walk rate. He is the mold for which this organization develops their young pitchers. Strikes out a few more than a lot of the young guys. 6.4% walk rate, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for 24 to 27, 28% strikeout rates with low walk rates, 6 or below. Some of the young pitchers do better than Castillo at limiting walks in the 2s, but everybody on this pitching staff pitches to similar form, and they're very, very good. Castillo's had a little bit of issue with power this year. 3.56% home runs, 42.5% hard hits with a 90-mile-an-hour exit velo, 9.4% barrels. That's up from 2.11% home runs, 37.2% hard hits, 89 miles an hour, and 6.8 last year, and even lower numbers the year before. Kind of a blip. I'm willing to write it off to just some happenstance. Over 30 starts, 181 in the third innings. He's been very, very good overall. Last handful of starts, 6 innings in each of his last 2 with 8 strikeouts each. Gave up 2 earned runs to the Angels last time out, 0 earned runs at Tampa Bay before that. Had a 2 strikeout, 5 earned run clunker in 5 innings at the Mets, where I was on him on September 2nd. I think we had some of them that day and didn't have a great outing. But otherwise, pitches typically deep, pitches pretty good. Innings overall, so I love the opportunity against one of the lowest end lineups in all of baseball. That said, it has to be said that the Athletics do have all this premium contact in the lineup now, something we've focused on with this team a lot over the last few days, but that doesn't lead me to the Athletics. It doesn't make me think that this is a worthwhile contrarian stack, doesn't make me think this is a worthwhile value stack. Odds are Luis Castillo is going to go out and smoke this team tonight. Could somebody like Seth Brown ruin that with a home run? Sure. Could somebody like Ryan Noda do the same? Sure. Or could Ryan Noda make Seth Brown's home run a 2-run home run by drawing a walk? Sure. Are these guys going to completely destroy Luis Castillo tonight? It is very unlikely. There's a couple decent bats. Zach Geloff, he's one of these guys that's been taxed a little bit. 12 homers, 12 steals in 248 plate appearances. 137 WRC plus at 251 ISO. 4,800, 3,400. It's okay. It's not like he's in the fives. It's not like he's over 3,500. So it's okay. And everybody else in this lineup is cheap. So if you want to go to the Athletics, if you want to take a contrarian stand against Castillo, I think your priorities are Geloff, Noda, and Seth Brown. Noda draws 16.1% walk rate to offset his 33.3% strikeouts. 376 on base. He's one of the better on base options in this on this team, while still hitting for power. He's got a 130 WRC plus. 47.2% hard hits with 13.4% barrels. Seth Brown from the left side, good lefty power bat, 12.3% barrels, 45.4% hard hits, 13 homers and 352. Bottom of the lineup kind of falls off. A lot of low-end run creators, limited power outside of Shea Langoliers. Langoliers, 20 home runs as a very cheap catcher on any given slate. Also, 201, 263, 398, and only an 81 WRC plus. It's kind of a home run or bust option. Strikes out nearly 30% of the time. You've got a 23.8% average strikeout rate for this club, with two of their best hitters being over, well over the league average for strikeouts. Seth Brown, actually, all three of their priority bats and their power hitting catcher are all high strikeout guys. 29.1% average strikeout rate for those four hitters. So the four guys that I would want to get to all support the upside for Luis Castillo. So does Tyler Soderstrom in his limited sample. Nick Allen, 15.4% strikeout rate, but a 211, 253, 274 slap hitter with a .063 ISO. I'm not worried about Nick Allen ruining the day for Luis Castillo. Esteury Ruiz, tons and tons of speed, but I'm not worried about him ruining the day for Luis Castillo. Tony Kemp, 9.3% strikeouts, 10% walks, 213, 308, 310. It's kind of pathetic. If you strike out 9.3% of the time and walk 10.6% of the time, you should have better than a 308 on base percentage. His BABIP has to be atrocious. .224. When he was good in 2021, and good is a relative term, 279, 382, 418 with a 128 WRC plus that year in 397 plate appearances, 8 home runs, 8 steals. That's when we remember him being kind of interesting. That season, he was 13.1% walks, 12.8% strikeouts with a 304 BABIP. BABIP makes all the difference for this dude. So, a couple of dying quails, as they say. 25 extra hits a year. Put you in the Hall of Fame, so on and so forth. That's Tony Kemp. Not going to make the Hall of Fame. Limited options on the Athletics side. Paul Blackburn going up against the Mariners. He's an okay starter. He does have his upside days from time to time. 4.14 ERA on the season, a 4.27 xFIP, 22.7% strikeout rate in 95 2/3, 18 starts. He's been very good at keeping the ball in the park. 5.5% barrels, a 2.34% home run rate, despite a little bit of fly ball upside, but no hard hits to speak of. 32.2% hard hits is spectacular. 87 miles an hour of exit velo is very, very good. That said, I don't know how big the ceiling is for Paul Blackburn, and it's not going to intimidate me from rostering some of these Mariners, I don't think. If I'm building 5 lineups on FanDuel, the Mariners probably get into 1, given how it'll probably be instead of using the White Sox, I'm going to use the Mariners for cheap opportunity here. Blackburn only 3 innings in each of the last 2. Gave up 4 earned runs, 2 homers, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks last time out against Houston at Houston. 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks at Texas. 5 innings against the Angels with only 4 strikeouts before that. Before that one, he went 6 innings in 2 straight, 6 strikeouts apiece against the White Sox and the Royals. You can see the difference in competition there. I think the Mariners land a little bit closer to the Astros and Rangers side of the equation than they do to the Royals and White Sox side. They're probably somewhere exactly in the middle, given the fact they strike out a ton, but they also hit for a lot of power. I prefer the Mariners side of this matchup by far. J.P. Crawford, playable part at the top of the lineup, 4,300, 3,100, gets on base at a great clip ahead of all the team's power upside. Julio Rodriguez is a superstar, 285, 341, 497, a 211 ISO, 30 homers, 36 steals. Monster season out of him, or a monster last 2 months of the season out of him. 28 homers for Cal Raleigh, 25 for Teoscar, 21 for Eugenio Suarez. Premium power bats. All three of those guys strike out at outrageously high clips. 29.6% strikeout rate. This could be just a lot of swinging and missing in this game on both sides. I like all three of these bats. The Mariners have clearly the better bats, the better opportunity going up against the worst pitcher here. Teoscar for 45, 29, 262, 307, 446, a 107 WRC plus. Suarez floating at a 102 WRC plus. Less power this year. He's 10 home runs shy of the mark that he's put up over the last 2 seasons, but still a threatening right-handed power bat. Cal Raleigh, 233, 311, 464, creating runs 15% better than average. And then down toward the bottom of the lineup, you still got some quality. Jared Kelenic, 3,600, 2,900. Primo lefty bat, 11 home runs, a 106 WRC plus, a 179 ISO in 378 plate appearances. That first month and change of the season, we really thought he was going to be tearing the cover off the ball all year. Missed a decent amount of time. Cooled off after that hot start. Still carrying a 10.3% barrel rate, 48% hard hits though. Not bad. Ty France, playable, 3,700, 2,800. Very cheap at first base. Capable bat. 10 home runs shy of the mark that he set last year. A much lower WRC plus. Still above average, though. Barely. Ken Zone, cheap, 3,200, 2,500. 5 home runs and only 167 plate appearances. That said, only a 257 on base, a 75 WRC plus. And then Rojas, more of a mix and match option. 3 homers, 11 steals. Only a 77 WRC plus and 320 plate appearances. Luis Castillo, way up top. Mariners bats. Athletics bats, if you want to take a hedge position against a big Castillo position over 150 lineups, sure. As like a straight contrarian play, I don't think they're that on the board. They're very, very cheap. There are some capable power bats there, but Luis Castillo's got a really good opportunity to just shut them down tonight. Probably not going to get to Paul Blackburn. At 67 on the DK slate, I don't think he's out of the question. Given the strikeout upside, given the fact that he is a semi-talented pitcher who does limit power very effectively, that's not a bad price for Paul Blackburn in this spot. 7,900 on FanDuel, I don't think I need him. Pretty decent projection, though. Couple of games left. Come on. 3 games to go. Rockies, Padres, Blake Snell. This is the story of the day. Let's grab the Rockies lineup. They do have Chris Bryant back, which obviously, supports a little bit of additional upside for them, but he hasn't really been great this year. He is a low strikeout, very capable veteran right-handed bat, though. So you get that as a little bit of a tick in the Rockies' favor. Overall, active roster-wise, against left-handed pitching, the Rockies now sit, even with Chris Bryant back, this is for the active roster, so including Chris Bryant, the Rockies, against left-handed pitching this season, have a 59 WRC plus. As a team, they're 41% worse than average man for man when facing lefties at creating runs than the average player. That's absurd. The next lowest team is Cleveland at 81. That's how much worse this team is than every other team in baseball. They are so bad when facing lefties. Collective strikeout rate in the split, 28.3%. You think Blake Snell could find a few strikeouts against this team? He's got a 31.4% strikeout rate, 2.43 ERA, and a 3.65 xFIP, despite his 13.4% walk rate. Imagine if he could strike hitters out without walking the world. How good he would be. Last time out, 6 innings, 8 strikeouts. Oh, excuse me. That's each of his last 3 starts. 6 innings, 8 strikeouts. Ceiling beyond that. Last time out, 8 strikeouts at the Dodgers. Allowed 1 hit in 6 innings. This is not the Dodgers on the other side today. 8 strikeouts, 3 walks, 2 earned in 6 innings at Houston. Notably, incredibly good at avoiding strikeouts against lefties. He still struck out 8. 8 strikeouts, 4 walks, no earned runs, 3 hitter against San Francisco the start before that. Too many walks. Came out after 6 because he pitches inefficiently sometimes, uses up too much of his ammo early in games, but still posts outrageous numbers. 7 innings, but walked 5 against the Cardinals at St. Louis in the start before that, struck out 9. Best matchup in baseball, one of the best pitchers in baseball, one of the best lefties in baseball, one of the best strikeout pitchers in baseball, facing one of the worst teams, or the worst team, full stop. That, I haven't looked at the numbers. Actually, we can, really quickly. All right, let's do this. Bottom of the board last year against left-handed pitching was the Orioles with an 86 WRC+. Bottom of the board in 2021 was the Royals with a 74. 2020 short season. Well, that's just absurd. 2020, the Athletic. Oh, all right, that's only 35 plate appearances. That doesn't get. Yeah, this is all right. This is this year's active rosters. That's right. So that 2020 was 72 WRC+ for Texas at the bottom. 2019 against lefties, 76 for Pittsburgh. This is a historically inept team. Nobody has been this bad in the last. I'm going to go all the way back. 67 WRC+ for the same Colorado team in 2015. 2014, 77 is the bottom of the board. 2013, 10 full years of baseball. 82 WRC+, same Colorado team at the bottom of the board. 10 full years of baseball. This has been by far the worst team for run creation when facing lefties. Do I have to hit this point any harder? Blake Snell is in a fantastic spot today. Cue the monster Rockies game. If you're going to Rockies against Blake, Tovar, kind of disappointing season, 257, 290, 418, 74 WRC+. Brendan Rodgers, no home runs yet. Mid-teens home runs each of the last 2 years. Very, very cheap righty bat, 3,200, 2,400. I would include Brendan Rodgers in my priorities of Rockies if I was going there. Only a 61 WRC+ and 139. Chris Bryant, only an 84 WRC+ and 307. Missed most of the season again. 10 home runs. He's missed most of the last 2 years. 30.9% hard hits, 6% barrels. Kind of sad at this point. Nolan Jones, their best hitter, doesn't suffer against lefties, but not all lefties created equal. I don't really love the same-handed matchup for him against Blake Snell. That said, excellent premium contact, does strike out 30.4% of the time, supports the upside for Snell. 17 homers, 13 steals, and 372. Their best overall player. Elias Diaz, playable catcher. Eleuders Montero, Hunter Goodman, minor league power that hasn't really come through in the show yet. 7 for Montero. 1 for Hunter Goodman. He had 34 in the minors. At least he's got his 1 in the show so far in 62 plate appearances. Alan Trejo, Brenton Doyle at the bottom of the lineup. Just mix and match parts. I don't think you want to play the Rockies against Blake Snell. In 150 lineups, would I throw it in like once or twice just as a total hedge against what would be a monster Blake Snell position? Yeah, sure. But I wouldn't expect it to succeed at all. On the Padres side, they draw Ryan Feltner. I think there's definitely upside for the Pods against Feltner. They've got 3 guys above the magic number for home run power. This is Feltner's first outing since May. In an inning and 2/3, his last appearance against Philadelphia, he walked 4, struck out 0, gave up 4 earned runs. 3 1/3 in a start before that at the Mets. This is all back in May. Struck out 3, walked 6, gave up 4 earned runs. Not a good pitcher. 35 1/3 innings in 8 starts overall this season, a 5.86 ERA, a 5.24 xFIP, a 15% walk rate. I can't imagine he's going to be out there for very long, regardless of whether he's pitching well or not. I think you fire away with Padres bats. Jurickson Profar, I don't really like at the top of the lineup, 78 WRC+. At least he's got a much better position in the lineup now, given that he's hitting ahead of Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto, Manny Machado, and Xander Bogaerts, instead of Brendan Rodgers, Nolan Jones, Elias Diaz, like he was with Colorado. But Colorado wasted most of the season with that leadoff spot, giving him all those opportunities. 78 WRC+, a 324 on base, 9 homers, 1 steal. Tatis is a superstar, 25 homers, 27 steals, a 119 WRC+. Juan Soto is better, 5,700, still cheaper on DK, $100 more on FanDuel, 32 homers, 10 steals, 100 ribbies, 151 WRC+, 237 ISO, 18.6% strikeouts, exact same number for walks. Phenomenal baseball player. Manny Machado, cheap at 5,200, 3,300. He's still got 28 home runs. I know his triple slash is down, his run creation is down a little bit, but for a power bat, 52, 33 is pretty cheap for this power bat against this pitcher. Xander up to 279. We're cruising. We might crack 280, 285 for the season when it's all said and done. 154 ISO, 119 WRC+, 18 homers, 17 steals. Is a 300 hitter, a phenomenal shortstop option. What's his career average? Might not be 300, but thereabouts. Career 290. 290, 355, 456. Last year he was 307, 377, 456. Year before 295, 370, 493. Over 300 2 years before that. 288 a year before that. Not that I care about average that much, but it's just, the type of hitter that Bogaerts is. Low strikeout, put the ball in play, gets on base at a great clip. Career 355 on base percentage, 118 WRC+ for the career. Excellent shortstop option. Campusano's been really good. 160 plate appearances as a catcher. He's got 70. That would be amazing. He's got 7 home runs, a 129 WRC plus, 307, 344, 487. Grisham squares the ball up pretty decently. 12.5% barrels, 41.1% hard hits. Should be better than 201, 315, 357, and a 92 WRC plus. 13 homers, 14 steals. This speaks to a better player. The walk rate is good. Strikeout rate is high. Probably getting unlucky as well with the pretty low BABIP, I would imagine, given the high walk rate and the very low on base. Only a 201 average. Matthew Battenham, 111 WRC plus over 98. Iggy Rosario. Iggy? Eggy. I'm going to go Eggy. Just Eggy. One word, Eggy. Not even Iggy Rosario, just Eggy. We've christened him. 19 plate appearances. He's got 2 home runs so far. 125 WRC plus. Let's just find out a little bit about Eggy. He's 24. He's 5'9", 150 pounds. Little guy. 187 plate appearances at AAA this year. 5 homers, 4 stolen bases. 265, 348, 422, 84 WRC plus. In 564 at AAA last year, 22 homers, 21 steals. Not bad. 2021 in AA, 12 and 30. Created runs at a 118 clip that year, 116 last year in AA. Not bad. Seems like a pretty decent option late in the lineup. Not a primo prospect by any means. He's coming into the season ranked 15th organizationally. Traditional scouting's got him at a 45 grade hit tool, 45 grade power, only 40 grade speed. That doesn't really jibe with what he did in the minors, though. Seems like he's a little bit better than what traditional scouting was giving him credit for. I'll put it that way. Those numbers are so meaningless. It's the old eyeball test. It's the scout that argues with Billy Beane in Moneyball. You're defying what baseball people have done for 125 years. You and your math and your numbers, blah, blah, blah. That's what drives me bananas about these announcers and old school baseball folks and everything who talk on broadcasts and, oh, sure, if you want to bring analytics into it and this modern way of looking at baseball, it's like, you don't understand that the analytics is just looking at what actually happened in those games and determining what was important about those games. It's not taking it is a new approach mathematically, like actually bringing in logic and math into the situation and caring about what's actually important, like getting on base. It drives me so bonkers that they don't understand what analytics is, even when they try and deride it. It's just so dumb. Anyway, so yeah, Eggy Rosario at the bottom of the lineup. Eggy, our new favorite player. 2,700, 2,400, third base on DK, shortstop on FanDuel. You can mix him in if you're building a bunch of Padres stacks. Mix and match option. Probably won't even be in the lineup after this. Blake Snell, number 1 option on the board. Top of the board, one of the better pitching opportunities of the entire season. I've oversold this like crazy at this point. There's no way it works out at this point. But I would be just completely lousy with shares of Blake Snell if I was playing a full 150 on this slate. Don't really need the Rockies. If you wanted to hedge off the position, that's fine. Blake Snell, Padres bats, Rockies bats, no Ryan Feltner whatsoever. 2 to go. Another good pitching spot. Zach Gallen. Pretty primo projection. Only 9,800 on the DK board, 10.6 on FanDuel. Relative to the other guys as far as price and everything goes, certainly a very, very viable option here going up against a pretty free swinging Giants club. Let me drop the lineup in here. Giants projected lineup, a 24.3% strikeout rate, with most of their primo bats aggressively high strikeouts. Mitch Haniger, 27.6%, 23.9 for Tyro, 25.9 for Yaz, 22.6. That's not that bad for Conforto, 20.4 for Jock. Those two both draw decent walk rates, but pretty aggressively free swinging on the Giants side of things. Gallen, 25.7% strikeouts for the season, only 5.3% walks. 3.50 ERA with a 3.55 xFIP, basically exactly who he is on the surface. 2.71% home runs. Keeps the ball not down like a crazy ground ball pitcher. 9.4% barrels, 12.7 degree average launch. But it's only amounted to 2.71% home runs despite 45.7% hard hits, 91 plus miles an hour of exit velo. that plays in a little bit maybe into the power potential of a Jock Peterson, a Mikey Conforto. They might hit one out against him, but overall Gallen's got a pretty strong upside here. One of the higher projected pitchers on the slate. Plenty of strikeouts available for him. On the other side, we talked about Cobb. Shave a little bit off this projection. I forget what I gave him in terms of innings, but let's say, assuming that the hip is bothering him, assuming that we're only looking at like 5 innings, let's just not go there. Against a low strikeout Diamondbacks club that does have power, that does have ability. Cobb, if he goes 5, I could see him, kind of shutting down this team. It wouldn't push me to Diamondback stacks. I respect Alex Cobb's ability too much. 1.4 degree average launch. 3% home runs is a little higher than normal for him. 7.1% barrels, but that's mostly happenstance. 1.43% home runs last year on 1.8 and 3.7% barrels. Very, very good pitcher when he's on form. 20.5% strikeouts, 5.7% walks, 3.62, 3.48 in the ERA, the xFIP. It would just be the hip and the innings limitation that would make me question him. 7,500 would be a great price on him. I haven't seen anything from the team that says he's only getting 5 innings. I will say that much. But given the fact that they pushed back his start from over the weekend to this spot, not for quality necessarily, not for opportunity of opponent, Diamondbacks are good. But he only went 3 innings the last time, 5 innings to start after that. Or 3 innings right after the near no-hitter, where he threw like 130 whatever pitches. Then 5 innings in an okay start. We're probably capped on the innings there. Terry, whatever happened to bunting, moving guys over, stealing bags, etc.? No one does that. They either strike out or hit home runs, and I hate it. All of those things are negative EV plays in baseball. Try. You should never bunt. You should only rarely steal bases. Those things are negative contributions to run creation. Getting to first base, drawing walks, hitting for power is what you want to do in baseball. That's what the numbers tell us. Terry, can you please finish by 6:16? My train leaves, and then I'll lose you in the tunnel. Working out, buddy. I think we only got 2 games to go, and we're mostly through this one. Trey's got to bounce. Hopefully not because I disagreed with you about traditional baseball. Yeah, you're old school, buddy. Yep, all those things. There's a book, if you don't want to read what's his face, the originator of it, Bill James. There's a book called The Book. It goes into all these things. It's literally called The Book. Let's see if I can find it. And that does a really good job of encapsulating all these things. And then there's all kinds of various articles around the industry that you can check out. But yeah, this is the one. This will be fun. Can I do this? Oh, I think I gotta pull this out to another tab. This is so pointless. That's the one. Check that out. Give you a good idea what's important about baseball. These guys extend and extrapolate on Bill James. Terrific book. Larry C says, Bill James blocked me thanks to Adam. Big Bino. What's good, Tara? Thanks for giving us a fair shake of this DFS thing. Just wanted to say it again. I appreciate that, Big Bino. Appreciate you coming by, buddy. Hopefully you've had a good season. We're winding down baseball, obviously, but continuing on with football, and we'll get into basketball when that comes up, and we'll see what happens with hockey. But yeah, hopefully I love doing it. I have a lot of fun, and it's just fun hanging out with you guys, talking shop. Diamondbacks, I think you can go to some Diamondbacks, but Cobb probably going to be at least a limiting factor while he's in the game. Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, priority bats off the top. Carroll, 24 home runs. He's been stuck there for a minute. He was stuck at 23 for a minute before that. 47 steals. He's kind of cooled overall. Still expensive, 130 WRC plus, though. Still a primo option. Ketel Marte, one of the top second basemen in all of baseball. 23 homers, 6 steals, a 125 WRC plus. Premium option. Not sure I agree with that, Tara. I've read that book, and you still need guys who can move runners. I'm pretty sure that says never bunt and never steal. I'm willing to be wrong. Move runners, yeah. But not via sacrifice bunts, not via stolen bases. getting on base, drawing walks, driving the ball. Tommy Pham, excellent season, 3,900, 3,200, 16 home runs, 21 steals, 205 ISO, 117 WRC plus. Christian Walker only strikes out 19.4% of the time, which is tremendous for a guy with 30 home runs, hit 36 last year, 233 ISO, 120 WRC plus. Alec Thomas can give you a little bit, 9 home runs, 9 steals. Kind of a limited season, 75 WRC plus. Probably shouldn't be hitting fifth. Lourdes Gurriel should be in that spot, 37-31. He's got 24 homers, 263, 312, 478, a 110 WRC plus. Joker's under the table, shaking. He's scratching an itch and shaking the entire table. Bottom of the lineup's kind of mix and match. Gabriel Moreno, Jace Peterson, and Geraldo Perdomo. Perdomo gets on at a 357 clip, 101 WRC plus, 16 steals. And Moreno's a capable catcher, 340 plate appearances, 7 homers, 6 steals, 288, 338, 417. Not bad. If we're going against Zach Gallen, I think I want the lefty pop in Yaz and Jock Peterson and Mike Conforto. 3,300, 2,800 is pretty cheap for Conforto. 15 home runs. He stalled out like midseason for power. Still a 106 WRC plus, 249, 342, 399. A lot of decent on-base guys here. 356 on base for Jock, only striking out 20.4%. Drives the ball very, very well when he manages to make contact. 13 homers. Tyro, 12 homers, 22 steals, 319 on base. Yaz, 14 homers and 344 plate appearances from the left side at 220 ISO to lead the team. Interesting option there. Lamont Wade, another lefty later in the lineup. I prefer Wade when he's leading off because he's a pretty good on-base guy. Good walk rate, 14.8% walk rate, 378 on base. I like the lefty pop, though, late in the lineup if he can, try and hit for power instead of focusing on getting on base. I think bunting is a skill, whereas hitting can just be taught through repetition. I think your argument I would point to the absolute trash can Yankees as an example. I don't know how often the Yankees bunt. I don't know how often they don't. Boone's weird that way. He kind of goes back and forth. They're supposed to be geared Sabre style, but they really don't perform that way. To Terry's point, you don't ever see sack bunts in extra innings with the ghost runner on second. Many managers don't even do it with first and second, no outs in the 10th. I'm not really sure, Mom. I'm not really sure what you mean in terms of bunting being a skill, whereas hitting can be taught. I feel like that's the other way around. I don't think you can necessarily teach somebody to hit a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, where I think you can teach somebody to just put bat in front of ball and let ball hit bat if you're not worried about swinging and driving it. Anyway, we got to get this over with by 6:16 for Lack, because he's got a train to get on. So the Diamondbacks only moderately playable. I think whatever Alex Cobb's in there for cuts into their ceiling a little bit. Zach Gallen's the primo option in this game. So it's Zach Gallen, Diamondbacks bats in limited form, Giants bats in limited form. And then assuming that Alex Cobb doesn't have full depth today, I would kind of take him out of the pool or at least be very, very limited and cautious. Keep an eye out around the industry. See if there's anything out there about limited pitches. For what it's worth, across town at RG, they're giving him 91 pitches. I was giving him like 5 and change innings. So potentially limited, but not totally sure. Dealing with hip pain was limited in the last 2 starts. Last game on deck. Tigers and the Dodgers. Neither lineup is in. So Ryan Pepio, source of great debate in the chat today. 3 starts so far, 27 innings in the show this year, 22.4% strikeout rate, only walking 2%. That's phenomenal. 2.0 ERA with a .63 whip, not giving up hits, not giving up walks, limits opportunities for run creation against. Only 85.8 miles an hour of average exit velo, only 23.6% hard hits in his very extremely small, limited, meaningless, microscopic sample. 5.6% barrels. Pretty damn good overall so far. In the minors, he was supposed to break camp with the team and then got hurt at the beginning of the season. In the minors, in 91 and a third in AAA last year, 2.56 ERA, 4.51 xFIP, obviously a lot higher. Had a 30.9% strikeout rate with a 9.8% walk rate. most highly regarded changeup in the minors. Pretty high-end kid going up against a pretty lousy Tigers lineup outside of like this guy and that guy. 24.7% strikeout for the projected lineup. Nobody under 20%. Miguel Cabrera, their lowest strikeout guy at 20.7%. Only these two guys really hitting for power and creating runs. Jake Rogers hits for a little bit of power. He's got 20 home runs and 341 plate appearances with a 231 ISO, but only league average run creation, strikes out 32.3% of the time. Catcher, part-time player, somewhat inconsistent. I'm really not that worried about the Tigers. They could put a couple runs on him, but I like the opportunity for Pepiot to have a pretty decent game here. 6 innings last time out, struck out 5, gave up 4 earned runs on 2 homers and 6 hits. That was against the Padres, notably not the Tigers. 7 innings against Miami in the game before that. Only struck out 3, but only gave up 1 hit. Was perfect through, I think, 6 innings in that one. 5 innings, 3 strikeouts against Arizona. Only 2 hits, no earned runs against a pretty good Diamondbacks team before that. 5 or 6 innings of decent strikeout ball here with clean innings. Maybe get push that out to 6 or 7. 9,100, 9,900. He's pricey, but the matchup is dynamite, and the kid is talented. On the other side, Miguel Diaz is going an inning here. I believe he's the opener. I have no idea who's coming in after it. I couldn't find it anywhere around. Let me see if it's been announced since then. Fado, Alex Fado. We're not playing Alex Fado either. Fado on the season, 64 2/3 in 12 starts, has a 4.45 ERA, a 4.60 xFIP, a 22.1% strikeout rate, giving up 4.58% home runs on not that much premium contact, honestly. It's just when he's given up contact, he's gotten blasted. But not a premium option, not a guy we want to roster at all against the Dodgers here. Whoops. So we're not going Diaz. We're certainly not going Fado. I think you can definitely go Dodgers bats. 5 guys in the lineup above the magic number for home run upside. That's geared against Diaz, but it would be similar against Fado, if not higher. Mookie, 18.26, I think second overall in the home run model on the day behind Judge. 39 homers and 13 steals on the season, a 170 WRC+. Freddie, a 164 WRC+. 2 contenders for the NL MVP. Will Smith, 5,400, 3,500 across sites, 18 homers, a 120 WRC+. Gets on base like crazy, 16.4% strikeout rate and a 12% walk rate. Top catcher option. Sees more plate appearances than most catchers by virtue of hitting third every single day. 517 plate appearances on the season. Max Muncy, 5,000, 3,600 is too cheap. He's got 35 home runs, a 281 ISO, a 121 WRC+. JD for 52.35 has 28 home runs, a 289 ISO, a 130 WRC+ from the right side. 2 monster power threats in the middle of the lineup here. Peralta, Hayward, Outman are 3 cheapo lefties in the outfield. As we say every time, you can take any 2 of these guys, put them together with any 3 of these guys, and you're off and running with your Dodger stack. If you want to make that 1 and 4, you can. On FanDuel, you make it 1 and 3, whatever combination you can get to. These guys are all effective. Only an 84 WRC+ for Peralta, 263, 299, 383. He's backslid a little bit. I still believe in the talent over time. 339 plate appearances for Jason Hayward, a 226 ISO, 15 home runs, creating runs 34% better than average. Something in the water out in Los Angeles. James Outman, 3,800, 2,800, 21 homers, 15 steals, 189 ISO, 118 WRC+. Tremendous season from him. Miguel Rojas, kind of a forgotten man at the bottom of the lineup. If you want to go to the Tigers against Ryan Pepiot, which wouldn't be out of the question. If I was building 150 and I had like 15, 20% Pepiot, I think a few Tiger stacks would be playable. These guys would be in all of them. Torkelson and Carpenter, they're just the 2 good bats on this team. Torque, 28 home runs, a 211 ISO, up to a 107 WRC+. Carpenter, 20 home runs and 411 plate appearances, a 208 ISO, 132 WRC+. Premium contact from both hitters, 51% hard hits, 14.5% barrels from Torque. Monster season from him. Good to see him claim his career. Akil Baddoo, Zach McKinstry, limited options up top. Both hit from the left side. 10 homers, 12 steals for Baddoo. 8 homers, 16 steals for McKinstry. Mediocre. Miggy, 2,700, 2,100, saying goodbye to Los Angeles. Rogers, 3,125 is probably the third most interesting bat in this lineup after these two. Does have power, 20 home runs at 231 ISO. Parker Meadows hasn't done much, 195, 316, 280 in his 98 plate appearances. 1 home run, 5 steals, a 70 WRC+. Javier Baez in a full season has a 59 WRC+, which is kind of pathetic. Andre Lipschitz, 286, 429 with a 92 in 28 plate appearances. Mediocre option at the bottom of the lineup. Dodgers bats way up top. Ryan Pepio, really nothing from the Tigers, but like a Torkelson, Carpenter, Jake Rogers 3-man isn't out of the question. Some chat about hitting versus bunting. Bonds actually had 4 sacrifice bunts in his career, but 2 of them came when he was a rookie, and another came in 1989. The fourth and final sacrifice bunt came in 1998. He didn't need to sacrifice bunt when they were just intentionally walking him 100-plus times a season. Barry Bonds had a 20.3% career walk rate with a 12.2% career strikeout rate. He was outrageously good before he started doing steroids. Just one of the best hitters of all time. I don't care about the steroids, really. In 2004, he had a 37.6% walk rate over 617 plate appearances. They were just putting him on. He had a 450 ISO that season, 233 WRC plus over 617 plate appearances. It was the most outrageous stretch from like 2001 through 2004. 2001 was the year he had 73 homers. You'd call it 2000. He had 49, had a 19.3% walk rate, 12.7% strikeout rate. His ISOs, 2000, starting in 2000, was 381, 536, 429, 408, 450 with 20+% walk rate. It's just outrageous. So good. Those numbers don't even make sense when you look at them compared to what people are doing now. Mama says, to Terry's point in the book, and what I agree with him is that bunting doesn't drive in runs. No bunt ever resulted in a triple. And Mama, to further that point, what it does always result in, or almost always, sack bunt result in an out, which is a limitation of opportunity. And by the numbers, and that's what a lot of Sabre is based on, the most valuable thing in baseball is outs. If you can do things where you're getting on base, creating opportunity, and not giving away free outs, that's the best approach to baseball, to like simplify all of it. So the fact that you give away an out to advance a runner every time is just a negative play in the way that the numbers end up working out. So I think that's about it, gang. Monty says, I wonder if Bonds, Canseco, and McGuire have to use TRT daily for all the steroids they did. Yikes. Canseco's still out there, I think, singing the praises of steroids. That was his thing for a number of years there. Jeremy says, I remember he hit one homer that no one could find. It basically disappeared. He hit it so far. Another game where Bonds came up, bases loaded in the ninth, and they literally walked in a run. Exactly. Yep, that's what they were doing. Multiple times. He came up, I think, bases loaded and got walked. At least once. Oh. We might have a change. Pepio might be off the board. Caleb Ferguson starting tonight for the Dodgers. Probably just an opener situation. But if we're getting him as a follower instead of a true start, I don't like it nearly as much. Let me see what this note says from DK. Probably not enough. Okay, apparently this was planned. I didn't realize that. I'm seeing a note from 8 hours ago that he was going to pitch in bulk relief. I didn't realize that. He was listed as a full starter elsewhere. CBS was on their game. All right, so Caleb Ferguson getting the start, and then Pepio presumably coming in the second. Definitely cuts into his upside. Cuts into his upside on FanDuel. That sucks. Yeah, for 99 without the ability to book a quality start, I don't like it. 91 on DK, you can still get me the win. Still have a good 5-6 innings. Definitely more limited than it was a minute ago for Pepio. Mama says I have to change my pitching again. Just paying up to Castillo. Yeah, look, honestly, today seems like a day to me where we are just kind of book those high-end starters. Book the guys. Let's round out the show here. Just grab shares of these guys. Like, yeah, Pepio, we lose Pepio up top, but Castillo against the A's, Snell against the Rockies, Gallen against the Giants, Strider against the Phillies, not Evaldi. Everybody else beyond that is kind of limited. So it's a really good but really concentrated at the top end pitching pool. We're like those four guys. I think you can just make your scene with those four guys. You're paying up, obviously. On DK, you can't do that. But you've got semi-playable options. Like Paul Blackburn's probably going to be part of your plans on DK if you're going to these guys. Like that makes it a $18,000 combo. Wouldn't want to be working with this DK board, to be honest. I don't really love many of the cheapo guys. I guess since we're focused so highly on these expensive dudes up top, Cobb would be my favorite at 75, but I don't know that he's going beyond 5 innings. Blackburn, given the strikeout upside for Seattle, given his ability to limit home runs and power, could be interesting at 67. I think this is probably my next favorite option on the DK slate. Why can't I make that orange? God damn it. Blackburn. I don't really like Rom, but given the limited nature of that Brewers lineup, I guess we got to include him. Marsh is in bulk relief if that's your thing for 57. He's got a little strikeout acumen. Don't like. Schmidt, maybe, at 73 against the Blue Jays. I don't like Sanchez against the Braves. If he was 1,000 cheaper, maybe. Colin Ray, I don't like in bulk relief against the Cards. Rutledge, I don't like against the White Sox. Assad was the other guy. The three guys with orange next to their names, I think, are probably your best bets for your super cheap SP2 on DK, as uncomfortable as that might be. How tough matchup. Good enough to get through it for 7,000, but tough matchup. Most of these guys I just flat don't like. Very high peak today, and then it kind of just falls off. Right? It's not even like a gradual incline. It's just like a precipitous drop to a lot of these guys, considering that he's going to be limited for innings. He's probably going to be limited for innings. He's probably going to be limited for innings. He's probably going to be limited for innings. So all four of these guys, I would at least have warning signs on, given probably short starts. Gibby, terrible matchup. Kikuchi, not cheap, but playable against the Yanks. Probably Kikuchi after Strider. Kikuchi's probably your next best option, which is saying a lot. Mom says, damn, I just talked shit about the Yankees and now I'm being forced to play them. Yeah, so to go back to that point, Mama, just real quick to round out the show. Yeah, the Yanks have been completely inept and terrible of late, but that lineup is not actually constructed the right way for what they claim to be trying to do. There's a couple guys who fit the correct mold, but then they went out and they got like an IKF, who is just a slap hitter, singles hitter, who led baseball in singles the year before they got him. They sacrificed and had to acquire Josh Donaldson to be able to do that. Donaldson fit the mold for what they were looking to do a little bit more than IKF does. Terrible clubhouse guy, didn't deliver, was hurt all the time while with the Yankees. But that lineup is not actually constructed all that well for what they claim to be trying to do. So it's just interesting. But yeah, they've obviously not been good over the last few seasons. But a player like Judge, a player like even Stanton, not that Stanton draws walks, but a player like Judge, obviously, he could be in any lineup in baseball. It's kind of a clunky point to make. He fits that mold perfectly. Rizzo fits that mold pretty well, but he was obviously banged up for 2/3 of the season and has been out. But it's not exactly constructed along the lines that they claim to be constructing. Steven Leibowitz, did I get the Marlins updated lineup? Probably. Wait, the Marlins? They're not on this slate. Are they? The Marlins lineup appears to be in the 640 game going up against Joey Lucchesi. Luis Arias, Jorge Soler, Josh Bell, Jake Berger, Brian De La Cruz, Jazz Chisholm. I love that top 6. Garrett Hampson, John Birdie, Nick Fortes. If you're building lineups for a 640 slate, make your scene with the top 6 from the Marlins going up against Lucchesi. He's a capable enough pitcher, but I really like the righty pop. I really like the opportunity. Jorge Soler just absolutely destroys left-handed pitching. Grab Arias ahead of Soler, and then any of the Bell, Berger, De La Cruz, and Jazz. Probably priority-wise, I'd say Jazz, then Berger, then Bell, then Brian De La Cruz. But however you can put it together, that's those priorities among those guys. Soler and Arias are the top 2 priorities in that Marlins lineup. Just to round out the show with a game that's not on the slate. We cover everything here. Oh, no Arias? He's out of the... all right, Labs didn't have that yet. So cross him off then, in the famous words of the owner from Major League, Rachel Phelps. That said, gang, I'm going to check out of here. I got a couple lineups to build, and it's 6:20. Enjoy your train ride home, Larry C., if you can still hear me. Good luck out there, everybody. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Love chatting baseball with you guys. It's been a blast. We'll be back to do it again tomorrow. Keep an eye out for football stuff going up tomorrow. And with that, somebody go win something. See you.